Greetings, gamers, and welcome to the 245th live stream from the Misfit Gamer Studios. I am your host, Vortex, and this is D&D Discussions. On today's episode, we have a new wondrous item coming from cart called the Altar of the Hollow Saint. I have no idea what that is because with Hollow Saint, it can be anything from necromancy to just like divine magic to, I don't know, radiant damage. I have no idea. Doesn't give me a whole lot. But yeah, we're going to find out. So join us as we discover what Cart has in store for us. I promise I will get this down by episode 255. But give us a second because I now have to fix the cameras. And I have to leave Discord. We will not be in Discord. All right.
It's my fault, friends. I know you can't see me yet, but I changed the routine, and you never do that. You never do that, okay? Especially with people like me. I'm always used to doing the same things over and over again, so I'm like, all right, let's keep it consistent. Whatever, it's fine.
You know, we adapt.
We overcome.
We have a modular system for this very reason.
I mean, that's valid. That's valid. I feel like we do a very good job.
I mean, we've been doing this also long enough that it's just second nature to just be like, oh, okay, readjust, set up.
Oh, this was the Take Me to Church one. That's right.
In the right frame for this, I have to look back. Get back!
Stop touching me!
Void. Demonic void. So I need to take my. Boom! Oh my God! Right. Demon. You know what? You know what, Void? I'm done with you. I'm just gonna take you and I'm gonna wrestle you up here and boom.
Wrestling.
You're gone.
Wrestling.
There. The Void is gone.
So much aggression.
We're done with that. Okay, so the Void's over with. What is going on? Devastating. Okay. So am I in the right spot?
A skirsh?
Meow. Okay, there we go. You can do it.
Oh, there it is.
All right.
A little stretch Armstrong action.
That's so much better, right? That is so much better.
Nice. Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay, now
We're on point. Uh-oh.
Uh,
Almost forgot my beverage.
all right. Cart said that they had done this one a while back. It's supposed to be part of 100 musical themed items that were never said yes or no to. I don't know what you mean,
like
but
he made it for his DM, like hoping he could use it in some game, and so he never got approval or something.
I mean, if you were going to give me 100 items, yeah, you'd be getting no yeses or nos right away.
I mean, it's gonna take me a
minute. But this is a small and short one. Nothing terrific. That's fine. It's been a week.
Oh my gosh!
I can already
It's
tell you
Monday and it's been a week, and I'm not talking about the weekend. I'm talking about a week.
It's been a week,
Okay.
y'all.
I got 5 more days or 4, whatever.
So, the true power words are coming up. I am looking forward to that, but time with the significant other is an absolute perfect excuse to not have those ready.
Valid. Absolutely valid.
It's just perfect reason. Perfect reason. No excuses here. Let's see, but so that will be the next mission. So, power words coming up. I am excited for that.
And we already have some spells from some of the other people here pretty soon. We love those.
Oh yeah, we got some new spells in the way. Yeah, we are excited for what's coming. All right. We do have Altar of the Hollow Saint, but I do have something real quick. Be right back. Entertain the folks, and I'll be right back.
Alrighty. I stay saying this, but you guys do a very good job of keeping our what do you call it? Keeping our reservoir filled when it comes to your submissions. So, I get to touch it.
Yeah,
I get to touch it. Oh, I see what you mean, but still. Okay, yeah. And see, oh,
Like I said,
see,
for
the
something that's gonna be
marks
a wall
are
break,
so much
something that's gonna just be like a wall, like
piece.
item,
Yeah.
it's totally fine for being that heavy. But
Yeah. Yeah,
it
absolutely.
has the look that I wanted, so I'm
Okay,
okay
hold
with it
on.
being so fucking heavy. But I do like, yeah.
That's clean. All right. Now, is there anything I need to do special if I want to try and?
No, it's gonna take a little bit, but don't like pull full force because it will detach. So you just gotta go in. Once it gives, it'll go a little bit easier.
Oh,
Try
there
not
you
to
go.
twist too much.
Okay.
But yeah, it should just kind of go after a point, and then you just adjust it to the size that you need for your hand later.
There it is.
And then you would just adjust it to where your handle sits right. Yep. And you get your dual-handed with your extra blades.
Let's go. And then you like slide it back in and use your little dagger side for everything. Oh my gosh, that's good.
I'm very happy with that. I can't wait to see.
Dude, I love the
can't wait to start
marring.
building the new one.
I love the image. Dude, the vortex is clean.
Dude,
I see what you mean about the first V.
Yeah, it was
on that
it was
side.
already in there. I'm like, why get rid of it? So that's what got me thinking.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
when I did it, I'm like, but it's upside down.
You're
So I'm
like,
like,
"Nah,
screw it, I'm gonna do it on the other side.
Exactly.
Again, like it just it made perfect sense in my head, especially with like the curve of the helix on the top of the
Oh
helix
yeah,
block.
yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
so
yeah.
happy I got that to work.
Dude,
I was
that's
so worried I
beautiful.
wasn't gonna get that because that was like
That's
the whole purpose of that one. So, yeah.
See, now I can't. All right. Here's the deal. I know I want mine to be at least somewhat hefty. Like, yes, that's a little bit heavier than you might like traditionally think, but like
I'm gonna go
you could.
lighter on the one I built for them. So I
Sure.
can show you the materials that I'm using, and we'll see if ours sync up.
Okay.
Unless you want to spend a lot of money, you either have to go one of two ways. You either have to go plastic and make it look metal.
But then it's so light and it
Yeah.
doesn't feel like you're holding anything in your hand. That's
Well,
what.
and the other way to do that too is once you have it built, make sure it's hollow, and then you can fill it with wood.
I was thinking about that.
Because you.
I
Can
was
put,
thinking
like,
about
if you make
that.
one out of like PVC, but then you line it with like a threaded cable with a bunch of nuts and bolts on it.
So I'm not
That
gonna
could be the
lie, the
internal
ones that I was
system.
thinking that like looked like a really good foundation for what I wanted to build for myself was actually a vacuum piece.
Oh yeah.
Yes, because it gives the whole like rectangular look. It gives the whole like almost like the hooded piece that comes out, even though I probably want an additional piece for that. But I really think that if I can find something like the right kind of vibe and shape, I can add on to that and it can easily turn into something that would look really, really clean.
Yeah.
So
That's good. I'm really hoping that I can get the right pipe that I need for
the blade.
for the giveaway saber.
Oh, got you. Yeah.
Once the giveaway.
I'm
saber-
sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I already think I have. I don't know how I really want to do it. Like, because do we just want I feel like when we give it to somebody, right, it becomes theirs. The giveaway is going to be theirs, and
Sure.
in my mind, I have this idea for the lore behind it, like
Sure.
why it was built, who it was built by. Like, I came up with all of that part and parcel to come up with the design, right? That's just how I work. So I came up with this entire system, this entire person in my head canon. And so, similar to, my own, right? Like, if I were a Star Wars character, where did that come from?
Exactly.
Based on that roll chart that we did. So I don't know how much of that the person who gets it will care about, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you were to get a replica of Luke Skywalker's, and you would want to know like something, like especially if it came with like a write-up about like Luke Skywalker and which or which movie, whatever it is. But with something like this, would anybody care, or would they only care about what it looks like and what it can do?
So here's how I look at it. This giveaway, like all the stuff that usually comes from us, even though, like you said, like once we give it to them, it becomes theirs. I think regardless of that, it still came from us.
Mm-hmm.
And a large part of like what we're about is we're about going beyond the book, or in this particular situation, going beyond the blade. Right.
Yeah.
And so we have like, there's so much more to like what we do here. Like, we love creating characters. We love creating stories. We love making things make sense. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that putting that in what we have is a great way. It's almost like if you were a Jedi that maybe your lore is you stole this off of some other Jedi, or maybe your lore is this was your master's blade, or maybe your lore is whatever. But like, it's almost like we are that master, or we are that other Jedi they stole it off of, and like our lore came with it, and now that it's yours, you can do as you will with it. Type deal. You can turn it into the thing that you would want it to be, you know, but it still had a history before it came to you. And I think that history in this particular case starts with us. So I vibe with that. I vibe with that a lot. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. You know what I'm gonna vibe with? This next part. Because I'm gonna vibe with this. Because first off, I gotta fix your camera. Because your camera got changed. Because I was using that camera for the saber.
Oh yeah, that's right. I remember that.
So I should just have to line it up like that. Yeah. All right. Well, get this set up. Cool. Excellent.
Wow.
Vibe time.
Every freaking
Oh no.
time.
This one isn't switch places.
No.
This is change place. Welcome to your new seat for the rest of the stream.
What?
You could thank Soul for that one.
Why?
I should have. You were right. I should have.
Yep.
I should have.
I think it was bound to happen. It was bound to happen. Oh man, this thing is.
Huh.
I just looked up and was like, wow, that's.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm used to it, but okay.
All right, so yeah, there you all go.
Suppose here we are, back at it again. Freaking, this was Soul this time.
Yep.
Golly.
Spent 25K
Golly.
while you were chit chatting to just do. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, Soul. Spent 25K just to get your reaction.
Yo,
And they still have 67,000.
God.
6-7.
You are ridiculous.
Wait, you have a dot on your. Why do you have a? Oh no, that's your cursor.
Oh yeah, for whatever reason, I was trying to figure out how to change the color of it because I kept losing the cursor on the screen because it's black.
Oh,
So I couldn't figure out how to change the color, so I just turned the little red thing around it, and I'm like, until I could figure out how
It
to
actually works though. I get the point.
Yeah.
I prefer that over something my coworker does, where they just make theirs like
Massive. Oh my god, I cannot.
I don't know how they click on anything. And again, it's just how do you click on anything accurately?
It's so weird. Unless it's like literally the tip of it, or because if it's like the center of it, like I can't.
I don't know, but
Whatever.
it is just one of those things. But
Whatever, it's fine.
all right, well, Soul, thank you for the vacation. I enjoy this very much. So, at least the intro's over. At least I waited until your rant was done. So I got you set up.
Much appreciated. I was like, what are you doing over here? You're like doing all this like I'm like.
Oh yeah, it's vibe time. I'm like, I'm vibing with it.
Son of a bitch. All right. Well, is there anything else you wanted to go over before we just jump straight into this mess?
I just wanted to show you the blade and
So cool.
I don't have anything else. We're still working on. I still have to go to the store to get all the parts, so that'll happen in the next week or two.
Yeah, let me know when you go. I'd be down to go with you now that I have an idea of what I need to get. I should be able to. I found most of them. That's just the tip that I don't know, so I'll end up finding that eventually. But
yeah,
okay.
But that's it. And then more OSRs hopefully.
Okay.
So
alrighty.
Yeah.
Cool beans. Well, I guess it is that time then. Let's jump into our homebrew review for the evening. This one is called Altar of the Hollow Saint. This is by Cart, wondrous item. And the item type is altar. Don't know exactly what that means. Is it portable? Can you take it with you? Do you have to like keep it somewhere and set it up?
I didn't see that. Interesting.
Yeah. So
I wonder if that means it's going to require not like. Think about it as the same thing as religious attunement. You don't need attunement. It doesn't require attunement, but it requires a deity. That's where my mind goes.
Interesting.
It's not stationary. It's something that requires you to reach out to something else for. That's where my mind goes.
Okay. Well, let's find out. We will start off with the description, and then I'll go back up to properties here in a second. All right. It says, from its haunting hems, the sacrificial longing, I shall forge an artifact of sorrow, divinity, and truth, twisted, inspired by Take Me to Church by Hoser, whatever.
Your guess is as best as mine.
Sure, I swear I've heard of
Hosier. Hoser. Hosier or Hoser is how I would have pronounced it.
Hosier. There you go.
Hosier.
A blackened stoned altar, no larger than a backpack, when folded, made of obsidian, veined with gold. When unfolded and painted and planted into the ground, it expands into a floating dais of stained marble, cracked pews, and flickering ghost candles. The altar sings when it bleeds. The air around it smells of rain on grave soil and burnt offerings. Whispers in forgotten languages drift through its flames.
Okay, so now I understand the hollowed saint, like hollowed ground. So it's like a what's the dude's name?
It's like a backpack that like kind of like transforms into an altar.
Kind of. So that's because I was trying to think of like folded, and it's made of obsidian. This is very strange, but what I imagine is it's like a small stone altar that has like a backpack-esque like attachment that kind of folds around it. So you put it down, and then when you unfold it, right? So imagine like it's this box that sits on your back. So when you take it off, you put it down on the ground, you unfold the backpack that's wrapped around it essentially outward. So now you're behind the altar, and the unfolding is before you. But
That's
this
what I'm
unfolding becomes something like I always forget the wizard's name, but something's tiny hut.
Oh, Lehman's Tiny Hut. Yeah.
I always forget how to pronounce is it Lehman's?
Lehman's.
Lehman's, yeah. I always forget the spelling of it. So like Lehman's tiny hut, I imagine it like that, to where you're carrying this thing, you take it out, kind of like imagine in movies when they always have the lockpicking kit or the surgery kit, they have that big bundle of giant
like,
pack of leather, and then they roll it out and it's a bunch of tools inside.
Yeah, you like unroll it and then you flap it up and then you flap it out, and then all these different. I
imagine the centerpiece of that is this stone altar of sorts, and then when you roll out the rest of the pack, like Lehman's tiny hut, but from the description here, it only says that you get pews, right? So it's like an open church. So it's almost like it just transforms the nearby area into an open field church, right? Like the chairs appear, these candles appear, and you now have this altar that then packs all together magically into this backpack. That's how I'm envisioning it. Cart, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's how I'm envisioning this description, is that you unpack it and you basically get a mini church outdoors.
Yeah, it kind of like you know how there's like a DM screen, you know what the DM screen looks like? Like I imagine like the backpack unfolds like that, and then the elements of it kind of spill out in front. So you have some pews and you have this floating dais. And now I'm assuming the dais is where the preacher or the person who's giving whatever speech sermon is going to be on.
That's why I imagine it being like this little tiny altar that you would think sitting on like a coffee table, just like a stone like kind of piece that you almost think something should be set upon. But when you unfold it, it then begins to float and then basically manifests this more proper altar. And then when everything comes back together, it reduces into what looks like an ordinary obsidian piece of stone. But my assumption is that the reason it goes from obsidian and gold into marble is that the obsidian and gold is essentially the material component for this manifestation.
Okay.
And so you pack it all together and it's all conformed. And then when you unpack it, the obsidian and the gold are somehow used in the manifestation of everything, which is why you're left with a marble, essentially a marble, epitaph.
Yeah.
That isn't real in the sense that it wasn't what you were carrying. Just like the pews you were not carrying. You weren't carrying the candles. But then when it all comes back together, it's not a material component that's spent. It's just a material component that's required. So that's my interpretation of how this works. I'd love to know if Cart has a different understanding. And the reason why I break it down this way, thank you for the follow.
Thank you,
Chili,
Chill.
oh chili. Is it chili? Like is the chili, or is it just like you just chili?
Oh, chili.
Yeah, I mean, it's like
That's
the chili
crazy.
because
That's so wild.
sometimes I prefer my chili warmed, but I mean sometimes
Hey, I'm here
I'll
for
eat
it.
chili cold. That's fine. But yeah, so I want to know what Cart envisions on this, and the reason why I try to break it down this much is, of course, the way I try to look at it is how does the magic work? What made this?
Yeah.
And how is it forming? Because that will tell me a lot about what it actually should be able to do, and whether or not it could be justified to work the way it does.
So this will likely, well, from my perspective, it sheds at least a little bit of light on it. When we look at the properties, it says, number one, it's legendary. That makes me think that, hey, this is way bigger than any normal piece of gear you're going to find. And number two, its required attunement is by a cleric, warlock, or creature with divine connection.
Okay,
and that goes exactly to what you were talking about earlier. It's like, hey, you need to have some sort of deity, you need to have some sort of god. Like, this has to be to something. And so when I'm looking at creature with divine nature, imagine you are an Aasimar. Theoretically, you are divine in nature.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
if I were an Aasimar, but I was just a fighter, like, this would have something to do with likely my heritage, maybe a god that I came from, maybe whatever pantheon I
think so. Yeah, I think anything
in.
that is by its very nature required to have a connection to a deity, I think this would cover.
Okay.
Again, like a divine presence, right? Again, divine connection, like you said, doesn't have to necessarily be in a religious context, but any creature created directly by or for offspring of, because Aasimar was a good one. What's the other one? I mean, basically any celestial.
Yeah.
Like if you could play I don't know any celestial race that you can play off the top of my head in 5e, but that would be.
I mean, Aasimar's kind of the closest I can think of.
Yeah. I think Cart did say that we're on the right track for how this is mentally manifesting.
Oh, okay. Cool.
It's just not the conventional to pick up and go. Yeah. So it is think of it more as a ritual to open up. You're taking it open, you're saying your prayer.
You're not just gonna it's not like the wand of magic missiles where I'm just gonna say a word and it's gonna activate, it's gonna do its thing.
Actually, you know what I think about? Oh my god, this is gonna date me a little bit. I don't even want to say it, but honestly, it reminds me of the professor's briefcase in Bedknobs and Broomsticks. The salesman, the dude that was walking around.
I have not heard or thought
but
about that.
you know what I'm talking
movie.
about, right?
Exactly
it pops out, the legs come out, the whole thing opens up into basically a whole. So imagine that, but then behind it, chairs and lights.
Yeah. Dude, dude, imagine like a wizard or like an artificer had one of these things and it was like their mobile laboratory or some weird shit.
That's that's exactly what this is. That's exactly what this is, but for a religious context. Yeah. I like that. Okay, cool.
So something I'm interested in, specifically when it comes to the lore of this thing, is we're talking like this is legendary. That means it had to have been made by something
wondrous, not legendary. Oh no, rarity. Okay,
yeah, rarity is legendary. Yeah. But so it's like I imagine either it's created by a god or it's created by some very, very rare and or special. Maybe it's got the remains of a god or something where you're not going to be able to just have a bunch of these.
Based on the attunement, because it says cleric, warlock, or creature with a divine connection, I'm assuming that the idea is to tell the DM this is a gift. You got this. You didn't find this. This is not something the adventuring party finds unless you have a paladin who's got, or not a paladin, I guess in this case, they're oath now. But let's say you had a warlock, and at some point in the campaign, their entity said, I have a gift for you. Go to the top of that mountain.
Yeah.
And then when you get there, the backpack is yours. You can let them have anything, but the backpack is yours. So that is fine. But this sounds more like if you want to give them a magical item up front, you could do this.
So then theoretically, this could be from any god. So
I think so.
If I'm a DM, I can take this item and I can attach it to any deity that I want to.
That's how I see this.
Theoretically, say you had a party of a cleric, a warlock, and I don't know, somebody else that could theoretically attune to this. could there be multiple of these that came from different divine sources?
I think that comes down to whether or not you believe wondrous items. See, this is where I like the fact that it's wondrous and legendary, because to me, wondrous items are by their very nature typically one of a kind. So while in your example, I do believe mechanically all of them would be able to use it, thematically and lore wise, my assumption would either be one of their deities gave it to them. That's where I think the majority of this should be used, right? I think the majority of this would be the deity gives it to you. If you somehow stumble across it and it's not from one of your deities, then High Point would handle that a little bit differently. But that's where it comes down to. Sometimes items are also just ritualistic items. Let's just say a once powerful cleric got with a once powerful wizard and said, you know what? I want to take my god everywhere. So let's say the first cleric, like the first nomad cleric, traveled so far and said it's so difficult to set up churches, and talked to a local big wizard and said, create me a mobile altar that I could take my faith easier. And instead of doing it on the cart, he gave him this backpack. Now it's not about the god, it's a vessel that allows you to connect to a divine entity.
If that was the case, would you still consider it a legendary? If some wizard made it somewhere, would you still consider it a legendary item?
Yes, because if it's a one of a kind created by two of the most powerful things for a single purpose, and again, it could be one of those things where it was created in the presence of a divine creature. Like it could be maybe their god said, you know what? I like this idea. I will actually grant you and your wizard what you need. Like the wizard could do the spell, but it won't work unless I grant you the authority.
Sure.
So through me, yes, this item works. It's not my item, but I do grant it the power. Sure. And thus it's basically a walkie-talkie. So whoever picks it up, you could lore say, so in that case, if it were created by mortals, I would say that it's basically a walkie-talkie that attunes to your channel automatically.
Sure.
So if the warlock picks it up, it automatically attunes to his entity. Now, versus
for a small bit of clarity, I know that it's likely an older edition, second edition, maybe even third 3.5 wondrous item meant something specific.
Yes,
but for us in fifth edition, wondrous item is almost just like a item category, like melee weapon,
right?
So it just basically, so something like an alchemy jug. There's a million alchemy jugs that exist out there, and artificers can create alchemy jugs just by their nature, but those are still considered wondrous items. Right. So they're not like as unique and
right. And that's I would not consider those wondrous items. Sure. I don't remember off the top of my head what the by the book definition was in second edition, but it was typically meant to signify both rarity and power.
To me, they use wondrous item in place of magic item. Right, so it's basically just saying, hey, this is a magical item that does something special, and it's not a sword or anything else that I can qualify it as.
See, I think of like, magic items are like a +1 sword or a wand of fireball, whereas like the Rod of Wonder is a wondrous item, and it's not because it has wonder in the name.
Yes,
but it's the level of what it can do.
What about like the immovable rod?
Do you mind putting that just on the table itself?
Oh yeah.
Okay, thanks. But like, so it's like a ring of wishes would be a wondrous item.
Interesting.
Because I look at that as a high powered item. But again, they may be more common now, but to me, those were lit because back in like first and second edition, like even in like early, well, I don't know what 3 and 3.5 did, but I know in earlier editions, like that was typically a once in a campaign item. Like you would get it if your DM allowed it. It would be one opportunity, and you'd have to roll for how many wishes you'd get. And typically, out of sometimes I think you'd get anywhere, like some games would have a cap of like 4, others would go up to 6, but you always got a D4 of wishes left. And that was why, because it was this is a game-changing, once in a game, the deck of many things, wondrous item, in my opinion. Like, to me, those aren't just legendary, those are those are like, and
it's again, almost a combination of power level and rarity.
Yes, well, and then because the only other option that goes beyond that is artifact, but that indicates age. Artifact is also something that indicates both power, rarity, but mainly age, because an artifact is also typically one of a kind, but it's also just I look at it as anachronistic. It's out of place. Like it could do something that something couldn't happen here, right? Like you could have a spell that does something that isn't a real spell in today's mindset. But again, it's this artifact of an
High Point,
an era.
You had an age before where very powerful items existed,
Correct.
right? And during that time, I would say that, and correct me if I'm wrong, those types of powerful items could have been, for lack of a better term, common. Not like common in the sense that every Joe had one, but like there were many of them.
Yes.
And with that being the case, I'm assuming at some point Zenith got together and was like, hey, this is not okay. He gathered all the stuff up, destroyed what he could, locked up what he couldn't, right?
Exactly it.
So things that were supposed to get destroyed, but maybe somehow some fell through the cracks, some still exist somewhere. Say there's like one or two of them. Now, again, those items at one point were common,
yes,
but are now no longer. So in the era that we're in, they would be considered artifacts. Number one, because they're so old, and number two, because even though they were common at one point, they were a lot more rare.
I mean, if you wanted to be pedantic, they're wondrous artifacts. But because again, they are that much more removed from that. But again, wondrous artifacts is it. I don't want to say it's like repeating the name, but it's kind of just.
I remember that video you sent me a while ago about bow staff.
It's kind of like saying bow staff. Like, yes, they are different in their own terms.
Sure.
But in that case, to call it a wondrous artifact would just be like, just call it a bow or call it a staff. You don't need to call it a bow staff because like we get it. But a bow is very particular. A staff is very less particular. So again, you finding a wondrous item is different than you finding an artifact. But again, those aren't always one and the same. An artifact doesn't have to be more powerful.
Sure.
It just typically means that it's ancient and thus more likely to do something that you're not familiar with. But it doesn't necessarily equate to more power. That's why I say
that's a very interesting definition that I like. It's almost like, imagine you lived in the universe of Full Metal Alchemist, and then all of a sudden you got transported into the world of Looney Tunes, and you start like messing with stuff that's in that world. Like the stuff that it would do would be stuff that's incredibly foreign to you.
Yes.
And so it would do stuff that like might not make sense for what you're familiar with. But
exactly.
Okay.
And that's why, and again, these aren't necessarily the by the book definitions. These are the high point definitions that help me divide things. Because yes, the book has their own definitions, which I've for the most part agreed with, not until recently. But again, I find that those kind of definitions outside of their mechanical benefit really do better with their lore equivalent, right? Like, in my opinion, calling an artifact more based on the fact that it's going to be unfamiliar to your time frame, regardless of power level, versus a wondrous item, which indicates like to the player, this is a unique, most likely one of a kind, most likely, and again, most likely like once in a lifetime. Like a legendary item can be one of a kind, but doesn't necessarily mean it's a wondrous item, right? And that to me, wondrous would require the understanding of power scale, right? Like Excalibur isn't just a magical weapon, but I wouldn't necessarily, you could consider it an artifact, but like something like Excalibur, if you don't consider it an artifact, I wouldn't necessarily consider a wondrous item, right? It itself isn't that immensely powerful, but it is either an artifact or it's legendary. Because of what it can do. But again, not necessarily wondrous. It itself doesn't, slay armies. It itself inspires armies. So while it is legendary, I need to plug you. So while it is, any of this is.
Oh shoot! I didn't plug my thing in. I can grab mine out of my backpack if you need. Is the other one not?
He took back the other one.
Give me a second.
But yeah, so that's where for me it's more of a concept that I think that they do better in lore, because I just don't think D&D does them justice, really making sense of what does legendary mean, what does artifact mean, what does wondrous mean. To me, it should be more akin to power level, age, notoriety, kind of a, not necessarily a complicated it's not supposed to be a complicated, convoluted,
right.
To just be,
but there's
forward. Like how, if I can go buy one, if I can have one and you can have one,
sure,
it's not legendary.
Yeah.
It could be made by a legendary person, but a +1 sword is a +1 sword is a +1 sword. Now, if your +1 sword was used in 100 different battles and it's known by name and known by sight a mile away, then it can be legendary.
Sure.
Even if it's not powerful. But that's the thing where D&D, it tends to mean that it has magic and power, but doesn't have to.
I think there's value. I've always said, like, I genuinely think every human being on this planet speaks a unique language that's unique to them alone. But what that entails is, what's that?
You ain't wrong.
I'm telling you, man, like, communicating with people is wild sometimes. But a big part of that is when you're working on communicating with somebody, understanding what they mean by what they say. And so, like, in High Point, I need to know what you mean when you say something like artifact, what you mean when you say, like, it means something unique and specific. And to be very real, like, those terms mean something specific in the Cineverse as well, right? They might be different, but they do mean something specific, and they're gonna articulate something specific, and that's gonna be true across the board. So there can be ways that, like, hey, when I say a sword, you know what I mean when I say sword, right? You know, but there are going to be some things that are going to be unique to the setting that you're in, the place that you're in, the time that you're in, whatever the case may be. So, you know, there's definitely room for that, but I'm very excited. I'm very excited. So this is a very cool foundation. It's an altar. It's a backpack. It kind of pops open, and it's an entire.
It's a mini church.
Yeah, it's a mini church. It's a mini little outdoors, like, hey guys,
yeah,
let's get together.
And so I will say too, the other reason why I broke that down is, long story short, because I wanted to get a feel for what we're dealing with, because in my opinion, I as a DM would most likely give this as a direct gift. Like, the player wanted this as their, either at the beginning of their character creation, they wanted something like this, or they were adventuring and it made sense for their adventure to be given this. I could see a value to having this created either mortally or just in general, and it's basically a conduit. Totally fine either way. But I am going to say my initial, like, when we talk about hallowed ground and being able to affect nearby areas, I'm definitely curious how it's going to explain how the magic works there.
Yeah. And like, I'm super curious, like, what is the intent of having something like this? Like, I almost think of it like, if you know the Feat Inspiring Leader, where someone can, like, give a 10-minute speech and, like, give people temporary hit points, like, up to a certain amount, like, before you go into battle or something like that. So, like, I imagine, like, what is going to be the scenario where I'm gonna set up this little mini church and do whatever it is that I could do here. So
yeah, so it's really gonna depend on what it actually does.
Yes,
that will make me feel
look something up
better or worse. Not necessarily about using it, but again, it's creation,
it's purpose. Yeah. Like, what actually put it together. So let's take a gander at some of these effects. First, we have hollow. That's what I was gonna look up. I was gonna look up the spell hollow and see what it actually does. Anyways, the effects. First one is Hollow Blessing. It's a passive effect, and it says, while attuned to the altar, you have resistance to radiant and necrotic damage. You are also immune to being charmed by celestial and undead will not attack you unless provoked. Interesting. So if there's some angel out there that wants to try and dominate person or something like that, because I've seen those types of things happen in those levels of gameplay, you're just immune to that. Number one. Number two, both radiant and necrotic don't mess with you, and I can walk through a crypt just chilling. Now, here's the deal. I feel like that should be limited to a certain CR, because there's certain undead that are intelligent enough to be like, hey, you're trespassing in my domain and I don't want you here. Yeah. I'm not just gonna leave you alone because I'm undead. I'm gonna be like, you need to GTFO.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
so okay, so resistance to radiant and necrotic, that's,
I know we normally don't see those paired, but I'm
okay with that, especially it's only resistance.
Sure.
Immune to being charmed by celestials, I'm fine with.
And maybe that's like, I'm linked and anchored enough to my god that nobody else can assert their will over me.
Or you're smart enough to just see past, like, illusionary spells. You're just like, I know what you're doing.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
you're not going to get, I'm not weak-minded, right? You're not, I am the droid you're looking for. Back off. But yeah, when it comes to the undead will not attack unless provoked, there's just a lot going on here. And I feel like
Ghosts,
it's
schools, zombies,
celestial. Like it really
it's just
feels
undead, so like you can still be attacked by celestials.
No, I know, but I'm just saying, like, it's touching on a lot of stuff on this passive idea, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's touching on 2 different types of damage. It's basically touching on undead and angels, like to break it down in like basic terms. And so it's like, I feel like, now granted, I don't know if turn undead is still as popular in 5e or if it's still as
I'll say
as important. Like, it used to be more important.
turn undead does not feel nearly as powerful as it may have once in the past.
Okay. Because I feel like something like that would be a little bit better. Like, I get that they won't attack unless provoked, basically meaning that, normally they will attack anything that moves. It's not one of them. But I feel like in 5e, what does that really mean?
Exactly.
Like, once combat starts, what do you mean not provoked? Like, does that mean that in combat they won't attack until you attack them? Because that's different, right? Like, if it said during combat, undead will not attack you unless you attack them first, completely different story. And I don't know if that makes it better or worse, but I don't know if that's what they're going for. I don't know if Cards trying to make the idea that once combat starts, an undead won't attack you unless you've attacked them first.
See, the big thing for me is, okay, I can get behind that. Like, that's totally fine if that's what we're saying. But say, because this effect doesn't necessarily, I'm assuming it's whoever's attuned to it gets this ability.
Yes, correct.
So if I'm walking through, like I said, some undead crypt, and I'm like, hey guys, these guys won't attack me, unless I attack them first.
Sucks to
unless I
suck for
provoke
you.
them. So you guys stay out here, and I'm gonna go walk through. I'm gonna scout everything out. I'm gonna figure out exactly where we need to go, and I need to do all the. Is that what we're saying that this person could do?
That's what it's sounding like, which is why I'm just like that. That's why it's starting to sound like. But at the same time, that just means that they won't attack. Doesn't mean that they're not going to stare you down and follow you and corner you and make it to where there's a lot more a DM could do with that. So it's not as dangerous. Look, I'm sounding like you now. I'm now playing the devil's advocate of like, no, it's not that bad. Like, I could totally fuck with it. But so yeah, it just, it's not that any of this is too powerful. It just feels like it's doing a lot. It's touching on a lot.
Sure.
And we're talking about any god, any warlock, or anything that just has a connection is given this. Again, it doesn't feel too powerful. It just feels a little aimless, if that's the right word.
Sure. It doesn't feel like it's like honing in on doing something specific. I'll be curious to see what the active abilities do, because I feel like, again, what the purpose, because right now, even with this ability, I don't really understand what the purpose of this is. Like, I love that, like, this makes sense for a divine type something. It makes sense for, like, all of those things make sense for an item like this. But again, what is this? Like, somebody built this, created this for a purpose. They wanted to do something with this. They wanted to have this for a reason. Like, I'm still wanting to figure out what that reason is.
Yeah. And before you continue, you asked for Hollow. So Hollow is a 5th level spell, Abjuration.
Okay.
For clerics that has a 24-hour casting time, requires touch, and consumes 1000 GP in incense.
Sure.
Permanently wards and infuses a 60-foot radius area with holy or unholy power until dispelled.
Now, is there no like effects with that holy and unholy power do? Like, because I thought there was something like undead can't enter this space without passing some saving throw, or
has the following effects. So Hollowed Ward, choose a creature type of a list, and the chosen type can't willingly enter the area. Any creature that's possessed or charmed or frightened condition from such creatures isn't possessed, charmed, frightened by them while in the area. You bind an extra effect to the area from the list below. Courage, creatures of any type you choose gain the frightened condition. Darkness fills the area. Bright light fills the area. Dead bodies interred in the area can't be turned to undead. Okay. Creatures of any type you choose can't enter or exit the area using teleportation. Creatures of any type you choose have the frightened condition while in the area.
Okay.
Creatures of any type you choose have resistance to 1 damage type of your choice in the area. No sound can be emanated, and creatures of any type you choose can't communicate, or creatures of any type you choose have a vulnerability of a damage type you choose. So you get Hollowed Ward and then one of those types.
So to a certain extent, I get the protection from celestials, you know, with that in mind. Okay.
Cart did say a while back, yes, it's supposed to be limited to a CR4 and below. So CR4 and below.
Okay.
Or if a CR or higher creature or if a CR or higher creature tells a lower one to attack you. Oh, okay. So Hallowed Blessing, a undead of CR4 or lower will not attack unprovoked unless a creature of a higher CR instructs them to.
Okay.
So if they have a boss, the boss can tell them to attack you.
Sure.
But in combat or out of combat, as long as you don't attack them, they won't cause you harm.
So that means something like a banshee, you can walk past it and it'll leave you alone. You can walk past a bone naga.
Yeah, unless something tells it to, or you hit it.
Sure.
But again, that's only you.
Sure.
For the duration of, as long as it doesn't find you hostile.
Okay.
So again, it's not that any of this is too powerful. I'm trying to like put it into words because it's not like, oh my god,
I get what you're saying.
It's not like, oh my god, like this is just gonna be so open. It's just like, but like you said, why? There's just why all of this? Why celestials? Why undead? Sure. I get the resistance and radiant, so that's the only thing that makes sense to me so far.
Sure.
I just don't get like why not just celestials? Why not just undead? Why both? But let's find out if like you said, the active one does any better.
Gives it some purpose.
That does any better.
Direction.
I'm sorry. Gives us some better direction.
Got you. All right. So our first active ability is called Sacrament of Flame. This is a 3 per day ability. It says, as an action, you may kneel at the altar and sacrifice 25 hit points, a valuable relic, or a piece of your own memory. When you do, activate one of the following abilities. First, cast Flame Strike or Mass Cure Wounds without requiring any material components. Or second, summon a Spectral Martyr that uses the Wraith stat block for 1 minute. So, there are a couple of things that I'm going to need to know. Number one, how long does this altar take to set up? Because
it didn't say that, did it?
If all I need to do is have this backpack on my back and do that, number one, do I need to physically kneel? Do I need to take the
I think the idea is you have to set the whole thing up because it does say you kneel at the altar. So I'm assuming you have to set it up, but it didn't give a time frame on how long it takes you to activate. Okay.
And if I do need to set the whole thing up, the question becomes, is there any way I'm trying to do this in the middle of combat? Because Flame Strike, I'm pretty sure is an instantaneous spell. Flame Strike.
Oh, I pulled them up there. If you want to pull them up in those other ones.
You did. Oh, sick.
Yeah, I pulled all the links up, so you can just click over and it's already there. You
go. Why is it all faded like that? Whatever.
Oh, it's probably because of dark mode, but yeah.
Okay, so it says Flame Strike is a vertical column of divine fire that roars. So this is an instantaneous spell. Okay, a vertical column of divine fire roars down from heavens. Each creature within a 10-foot radius, 40-foot high cylinder centered on point within range must make a dexterity saving throw, will take 46 fire damage and 46 radiant damage on a failed save, or half as much on a successful one. Okay, so again, that doesn't sound like
go back to the altar. So what's it saying that we can do? We can kneel at the altar, sacrifice 25 hit points, or a relic, or a memory, and you activate one of the following where you can cast this. Now, what is it? So here's my thing, right? It says 3 times per day you can do this as an action. So yeah, it doesn't make sense that it wouldn't be done outside of combat because I was like, does this have like a for the next 24 hours you don't have to?
You can cast these. You can do these.
That's what I was trying to think. Is it a preparatory thing? But it doesn't sound like it. That's what would make the most
sense to me.
Because Mass Cure Wounds makes the most sense out of combat. Like you would do this out of combat.
Exactly. But again, that's still a instantaneous spell. It's still a one action.
But that makes sense that after combat, I'd set up the altar. We'd be in a protective zone. and then I would be able to cast it while we're, because that's what I was kind of expecting, is when it said it made pews and everything, I was expecting it to say something along the lines of, you know, while it's set up, you know, you can't be attacked, you can have a full night's rest without, you know, fear, because there's like some things that do that, right? It protects you.
Yeah.
So I could see that with Mass Cure Wounds, because you're like, it's after the fight, but yeah, these both kind of make it seem like you want to do this in the middle of combat, but like, yeah, as an action, I throw my backpack to the ground, pews show up everywhere, and then I kneel real. It doesn't sound as fluid as I would have expected it to. So yeah, because the passive ones definitely feel more combat-y.
Sure. Yeah.
And again, not something that you would set up to do. Like, you wouldn't, to get those hallowed blessings, like you wouldn't like set it up inside of a crypt to then walk through the crypt. Like, that doesn't make any sense. But yeah, these ones definitely mean like it sounds like you have to set it up, but I don't understand how you're setting it up in the middle of combat.
I'll say this. I think that the piece of your own memory is a great way for the DM and the players to do a little bit of like role play to like figure out like what's valuable.
That's a very hard economy to work with. I love the creativity of it. It's very hard to work with for something that people are going to want to use as action economy.
Yes,
that's why I wish that one. I was going to say I wish that one came with like it costs you 1 wisdom point for 24 hours.
Sure. I love stuff like that. Something more mechanical.
A true, like, a way to actually measure this, so you can do it as much as you want, but it has a detriment.
A valuable relic. I need to know, like, me as a DM, like, I can see my players trying to argue some BS is a valuable relic.
Should it have a GP value? Should it have an age value? Should it have an importance value?
Sure. Exactly.
Because you know, what's that was a 5th level flame strike.
Flame strike's 5th level, and mass cure wounds is also 5th level.
And does mass cure wounds target yourself or only others?
Mass cure wounds can include yourself.
And how much does it heal?
A wave of healing energy washed around you. Choose up to 6 creatures within 30 foot. Sphere centered on a point where you can see, and you get 3d8 plus your spellcasting modifier and healing.
So it'd be 3d8 minus 25 in this case, which again, just it's kind of like you sacrifice. So I don't know if at any time I'd sacrifice 25 HP just to do a single instantaneous spell on either of those, because then I'm also kind of giving up, like, what, you know, I love the idea of spells that use your health to do something, but with mass cure wounds, it's almost like I'm healing others, but I'm also healing myself, and I'm just not getting as much benefit.
Yeah.
So like for me, yeah, if it were something along the lines of, while the altar is set up, you can cast mass cure wounds 3 times per day. Or like, you know, up to 3 times in, you know, while it's
sure.
Like I'm fine with something like that, because again, that's role play, because you only need that once for most of your party. Who really cares about you casting it 3 times and everyone gets up to max health? Like, that, you know, who cares?
Sure.
But that could be used for, like, you know, you set it up outside of town, and you set, you know, you do it once for the party, and then you say, hey guys, go into town and say that we have a mobile hospital. Send people out here, we'll cure them up. I got 2 casts left for the day. We'll make some gold and we're out. Something like that would be great. It gives me, because right now,
that would be kind of
now,
that would be kind of,
I have 0 reason to set up the altar unless this is expecting me to do it in combat, and I just it doesn't make sense that I would set up this altar in combat. So
yeah, and even if it's a before combat action, it's like,
how would I know?
How are you gonna know, unless it's like an ambush, or it's like,
and then you gotta run over to it and kneel
or whatever. And again, how close do you need to be to this thing to make it happen?
Like what would be cool is
what happens if they attack it? Does it like go away? Does it close up again or something?
Like, if it had like a ritual where like it takes 1 hour to set up, so, you know, you're unbuckling it, you're saying your words, whatever, you're unfolding it, that, you know, the candles are starting to float out, you know, the pews are going out, you know, like plank by plank. And if it took like a ritual to cast, and then it gave you things like, while it's set up, you know, it takes an hour to set up, it takes an hour to put away. So it's like, you know, it's not a combat thing, but while it's up, you can do this, you know, you can do like the mass cure wounds while you're here with no material components, and up to 3 times per day. So it kind of gives you a reason to use it in game. I wouldn't mind something along the lines of, you know, while also at the altar, you can gain the ability to cast Flame Strike once per day.
Sure. Yes.
Or you can gain the ability to cast Flame Strike once without expending a spell slot. If you cannot cast spells, you get it once for free. You gain the ability to cast spells for the spell only. And you can only do so until you pray at the altar again. So basically it gives me a reason every day. So I get one once per day, but I don't get it back until I pray at the altar again. So at least it gives me a reason every day to set the altar up.
And see, I
get
that.
a free spell.
I like that. It's almost like
and
the
I get a
storing ring.
Yeah, and I get a so imagine I'm not only incentivized to get my free spell, but while I have it up, hey guys, I might as well cure you. I got it up.
Now,
like,
would you say that you have to choose at that moment in time which one you want to go for?
That would be even better.
So you kneel down at the altar, and I choose either I can do Flame Strike,
or I could do three. So yeah, you get one.
Wraith.
So you get one Flame Strike until the next time. You get 3 Mass Cure Wounds while you're here, or
you're sitting there, yeah.
Or you get to summon your Spectral Wraith once until the next 24 hours or whatever until you kneel here. So I mean, and then you can do this. So maybe
Absolutely.
it's like, so imagine it's like at the altar, takes an hour to cast. While the altar is set up, you can cast Mass Cure Wounds 3 times per day while it's set up and within the zone. Also at the altar, you can pray. Oh, how about this? What if you can pray at the altar for either 2 uses of Flame Strike until the next time you pray at the altar,
okay,
or 1 Wraith Summon? Because then it kind of feels better, right? And then it's like a 3-2-1 aspect, right? Like you're here, you get to cast some heals. When you walk away, you either get 2 Flame Strikes or you get 1 of the Wraith. Because I honestly, we haven't looked at the Wraith yet, so I don't know which one's more powerful.
Sure.
But you know what I mean? Like kind of make it to where it's actually a good choice. Like it's gonna. I want to make sure it's a difficult choice. I don't know if those 2 spells are already equal, because one lasts for a minute. So I'm trying to think something that lasts for a minute and kind of is like its own creature. Tells me I should only get 1 of those like within a 24-hour period, or at least I get 1 of those until I'm back at the altar. But Flame Strike sounded good, but it also didn't sound so devastating that I would care if they had 2.
Yes. So I would say if we're only going to do the Wraith once a day, I would probably make it a scarier creature.
Okay.
Wraiths are bad, but like especially
you got to remember. I remember Wraiths being able to take levels, so my immediate response to Wraiths is recoil.
Wraiths over here, they're not as they have life drain, but they don't think they have level drain.
Cart, which one? It's so hard. I keep we're just chatting and then I see things in chat, so I don't know what Cart was commenting, but they like something about the roleplay objective.
Oh,
they mentioned something about liking the roleplay objective. I don't know.
Was it when we were talking about
like having to reset the
stuff?
Either. Oh yeah, it could have been about the memories. Is that what you're talking about? Like losing like wisdom points for a certain amount of time for that, or was it or was it just the idea of needing a reason to go into the altar?
It was that.
Oh, okay, yeah. So losing the wisdom points for like a set amount of time. Yeah, I kind of like that for some kind of a, wisdom or for some type of memory, because it's hard to like really role play losing memory.
Sure.
Like it's so easy to just be like, okay, I don't remember. Like I don't care because I don't remember. Like it's too easy to just not make it a thing. And it's you can't force them to forget something about the plot.
Sure.
Play your agency and all of that. So it's like if you make them forget things that's not the plot, then the only thing they can do is not react to something later because they don't know about it. It's
sure.
Or maybe they, unless you got really creative and then made them forget about something, like someone backstabbed you. So now you think that they're really great. Or you forget the great thing someone did, so now all you remember is the time they backstabbed you, but you forget that it was all a misunderstanding. Like those are really unique options.
I imagine like removing like your memory of someone from your childhood. Like you no longer remember this person, and so when they go to interact with you, like, hey, what's going on? You're just like, who are you again? But yeah. Yeah, no, there's definitely a lot you could do with that. So Wraiths, real quick, instead of level drain, they have life drain, which is basically you take 48 plus 3 necrotic damage, and then they have to do a DC 14 con save, which reduces their hit point maximum equal to the damage taken. So if they took
so yeah, they're still dangerous. They're still
definitely
hefty.
still dangerous. And if you get going down to like 0 max health, then you die.
Oh yeah,
like
dead.
Exactly. So, but again, if I am as a character am using this is going to be a lot less scary for.
But how much how heavy hitting is it though? Because it's
21. It doesn't have multi-attack. It's only got 1 per turn. So we're looking at roughly 21 points of damage per turn. Right? And so if a lot of stuff is going to have...
How much health does it have?
It has 67. It's theoretically a CR5. It's resistant to most damage types: fire, cold, acid, lightning, thunder, bludgeoning, piercing, slashing, all that kinds of stuff. It is vulnerable to like silvered weapons, but there's not a lot of like creatures that have silvered weapons. So I'll say like 5 hits from this thing taking average damage could take down something with 100 hit points, right? But is
I mean, look at those immunities though.
that's a lot of immunities, conditioned
Conditioning-
immunities,
it's a-
charmed, exhausted, grappled.
I'm just trying to think of like, again, situationally, it's a situational creature. It's that's where I'm thinking like summons are always to me like should be like the show, like the showstopper. Like summons are always not, again,
Sure.
This isn't Pokemon. Summons should be like a game changer. That should be like not
Yeah.
the go-to. It should be the, oh, we're about to lose. Let's get the Zords in, right?
Sure.
It's always the upgrade to me. It's never the,
I mean,
it's not to me like summons aren't wild shape. They're something different.
what about something like when I was Venla? I don't know if I ever did it with you, but like there was this conjure woodland beings. Like you could just
I remember
bring in
that.
a bunch of like squirrels or like small animals, like whatever. Like you can bring those things in to like help with the battle, kind of almost be meat shields more or less, like absorb
But
some damage.
I know
stuff
you were
like
saying that you would want this thing to be a little bit beefier.
if
but,
it was once a day.
but I'm also thinking like this is just a wondrous item. Remember, this isn't like, a subclass feature, right? This is just something that you get. So it's like, why does it need to be beefier for
it
what
is
an
supposed to be
item can do?
legendary though, right? So if it's legendary, if it's supposed to be like, oh my gosh, like most things don't compare to this. Most things, like this is going to be significantly scarier than. Like I know certain swords and stuff
on
like that.
top
that
of
can
everything else
summon
it's
demons.
doing, yeah, but that's what it does. This is on top of the fact of mass cure wounds, on top of the flaming strike, and on top of the resistance to necrotic radiant.
Yes, but I'll say like in those situations you're choosing between them, so it's only going to do one at a time, not like if it did all of those things all at the same time. Now theoretically the way this works, you can do each one of them once a day.
That's as long as you
which
pray at it.
kind of counts as doing all of them, but
Yeah.
to me the barrier to activation is a bane to something like this, because if I can just like do this stuff at the drop of a hat versus I gotta stop, I gotta set everything up. Like one of my favorite things is getting stuff as cantrips with warlock features.
Right.
I get like getting level spells that I can just like throw out whenever I feel like it. So
And that's why, because I'm just thinking about like, imagine if we just called this a wand,
Sure.
and we were saying that, once a day, it can either give you, you can either choose every day to cast 2 flame strikes or summon a wraith. That's basically what we're deciding, right? Is, that's what you're deciding, is you have a magical item that is giving you the ability to choose one of these 2 abilities every day. Because again, the idea of when we said set it up as part of like the process, like the ritual,
Sure.
that's just to get me to use it as it's intended, because as of right now, it doesn't sound like I have to set it up.
Sure.
And B, it kind of gives it that once per day option. But if you lose it, if you're in a dungeon, if for whatever reason you don't get the time, like, you guys are like, whatever, then, you could in game have a role play reason why you don't get it every day. But essentially, it's a magical item that gives you these things every day, and at your long rest,
I will say
basically get
that's
mass heal.
if it works like we're talking about, and
that's-
we can hold on to it.
that's 100% fair.
Without that, there's a significant barrier to
And that's
to
where I
usage.
feel like that's where I would like the clarification is,
Sure.
if this thing is a altar that's meant to have the pews and the candles, why does it do all of that if I don't need that to activate any of this?
Sure.
As of right now, we just don't see it that way.
Yeah.
But that doesn't necessarily mean that it's wrong. So Cart, definitely correct us. I know you were saying a few things in chat, suggesting that maybe like having more things that you have to bring together in order to activate it, either like the candles or like a point cost, something that you have to, use more.
Sure.
Because I don't know about the 25 health. I don't mind, like, I will agree with you on this one. I was also talking, in my opinion, about the once per day would be completely free. It's just the ritual that does it. This is actually still requesting a cost of 25 HP, a relic, or a memory, which really doesn't have any tangible cost outside
And
of
that's
it.
every time you kneel at it too. So if I want to use this 3 times a day, I need to have 3 relics. I need to give up 3 memories.
Well,
I need to give
think
up 75 hit points.
Yeah, and so that's where I feel like if that's the case, I 100% agree with you. It needs to be able to be bigger. Because if I have to sacrifice something, because again, right now I'm okay with an item giving me Wraith once per day. Like I'm okay with something quote unquote that small, but not if I have to give up something for it, right? Like I would be cool with having to make the choice of Flame Strike or Wraith, and then Mass Cure Wounds only when it's set up. I totally am okay with that split if it were all free. But the idea that I have to give something up, then it needs to give me something way more.
So I know this seems aggressive, but this is kind of like the vibe I'm going for with something that I would consider legendary. If this thing said you give up half your hit point, you decrease your hit point maximum until you take a long rest, and you can cast Flame Strike at will for the rest of the day. That to me is like a legendary thing. Like my hit point maximum is severely reduced. I'm much more squishy. I'm much more like I gotta be careful, but I can be a powerhouse now. I can drop almost every turn if I want. I can do other stuff with my turn, but
here's what I would say then. Honestly, I would be totally fine if it takes an hour to do the ritual to set it up. When it's set up, I would be totally fine, honestly, in just breaking this apart, because this is meant to go to anybody, right? So break this apart. Say that you just choose one of these to get as a free cast. So I mean, what you basically just said,
but with any 3 of them,
all 3, yeah.
I can
choice
spam spamming Mass Cure Wounds might be crazy, because if you can essentially hold on, let me. What is the actual?
It's only 3 times per day. You'd still only get the 3 casts per day.
Oh, it would still only be 3. It wouldn't be at will, because that's what I was talking about. I was like at will, like a cantrip. I can do
unlimited.
over and over and over.
I just thought at will, but like
all 3.
You just get all 3 as basically cantrips essentially, but it's 3 cure wounds, 3 flame strikes, or 3 wraiths.
I would be okay with 25 hit points for that.
Yes,
I'd be okay with 25
that's what
hit
I was
points
thinking you
for
were
that.
talking about is reduce my max for 24 hours, but I get 3 of these for those 24 hours, whichever one I choose.
Sure.
So if I, again, I pray at the altar, I say for the next 24 hours, here's 25 hit points, but I get Mass Cure Wounds. And that's great because I gave up 25 max, but I'm gonna just keep myself up.
Yeah.
But if I ask for the Wraith,
not just myself, but me and my team.
and then you can lure it. If I ask for the Wraith, well, guess where how did I summon the Wraith? I needed health to give it a body. And if I do the Flame Strike, that's just the equivalency that I need for the magic, is the 25 hit HP for the extra magic. So that's kind of cool. I would totally be fine with that. That's not necessarily what it has to have. I just, again, my initial knee-jerk reaction was it was kind of doing a lot. And now I'm even going to say it's still doing that. Think about it. We have resistance to radiant and necrotic. Celestials can't fuck with our head. Undead aren't provoked by us. And now we have fire or a wraith or cure wounds. Like, again, I feel like it's just...
Imagine
it's doing too much.
Imagine this, and I'm picturing like the lore and like the way all of this stuff works. So in order to do this, here's what happens. You set everything up, you come in front of the ritual. If I want Flame Strike, I stick my arm or some part of myself in a flame and I get burned for 25 hit points. And then I get that, and I get we'll say undead won't provoke attacks.
Oh, so you get pairs.
And then
I see,
cure
okay.
wounds, I can't be charmed by celestials and
right, but if you get the
like,
Wraith, it's the radiant necrotic
damage.
I kind of like that.
Like, imagine if I get those abilities, I get these three times a day, I get those passives that come along with it. So it's almost like I wake up in the day and I choose which one of these am I going to go to. And if I don't know, I wait until I'm pretty sure, all right, we're about to head into this dungeon. All right, which one am I going to pick? Which one do you think we're going to need? Am I going to need more undead stuff? I'm going to need more healing stuff. I'm going to need more damage stuff, like whatever. And then I can go down that road. So
I really like that idea. Yeah, that's cool. I would dig that a little bit more. As it's written, again, it's not feeling crazy. It's just it doesn't feel intuitive.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel intuitive, and it feels like it's doing too much. Again, not overpowered. I'm still trying to figure out who built it for why.
Yeah.
Still going for that question.
Exactly.
But again, I'm loving the ideas that we're getting. So we have one more active ability.
Yes, one more active ability. This one is called Heresy Mirror. Heresy Mirror. It says, when a creature within 60 feet of you casts a spell from the cleric, paladin, or druid spell list, you can use your reaction to force them to make a DC 18 charisma saving throw. On a failed save, the spell is reflected back to them as a twisted prayer, dealing necrotic damage equal to 5 times the spell's level. Once you use this property, you can't use it again until the next dawn.
Wow.
So you get a crazy counter spell that doesn't even have to be directed at you. Well, I mean, counter spell never has to be directed at you, but still. So you get counter spell. They have to make a saving throw rather than you having to make a check. And that's any spell, as long as it's from one of those spell lists. I do like that inclusion.
See, I mean,
but
see, like, this makes me go back to like Lehman's Tiny Hut, or even like what was it? Not just Shield, but there's the other one. There's like the protective
Sanctuary.
Not that. There's anti-magic shield, and then there's another one, but it's like if things are shot at you, that'll like go slower, and they there's that one. You know which one I'm talking about?
Wall of Force.
But you know which one I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
There's a dome of protection that like stops it. So it's almost like this ability should be phrased as if a creature outside, like once the altar's set up,
sure.
Like let's say you're sleeping inside of it, or you're just trying to use that as a protective area. If a creature outside of the circle casts a spell at you, this happens. So like this is only
a spell inside the circle.
Well, this is like if you cast this and like it makes like a 30-foot or whatever. If a creature outside of that 30-foot range attacks you with one of these spells, this activates. Like you are inside this protective zone.
Does it have to be you, or can it be anybody inside this protective zone?
Because you set it up to be a protective zone, I'm fine with it being the zone itself. Basically, if the attacker is outside the zone and attacks anything into the zone itself forces the DC save and can reflect it back. Otherwise, it goes through and hits the target as intended. But like, I feel like that sounds better as a protective like aura, as in when I said this. And again, make the aura smaller. Be like, maybe it's only like, I mean, again, 30 feet's pretty big, especially if you imagine what it is. But again, it's like if you set up the altar and there's only a handful of pews, you can make this 15-20 feet away. Like, I mean, 30 feet makes the most sense. But I feel like that's huge.
Are we talking about a 30-foot radius?
Yeah.
Okay. Because that would be a 60-foot diameter.
I mean,
I think
even 15-foot radius would be fine, because that's still a 30-foot area that you're essentially your little mini. Again, it's just a mini church. So I'm imagining, like, again, you're in your little mini church, and then you go out of it. You know maybe like you set it up right, and that's where you're gonna camp. But then you go off and then you lead bandits back and you run back, and then they try to attack you, and then there's so there's something to be said there for a protective barrier. 5 times the damage is.
So if you cast a level 5 spell, you are taking 25 points of damage. A level 5 spell, so 5 times 5, right? It'd be 5 times the spell's level.
Oh, is it 5 times the spell? Oh,
5 times.
I thought it said 5 times the spell's damage. I thought it was giving 5 times the damage back. 5 times the spell's level.
Yeah, that would be great.
So yeah, so basically
damage. Like if it was whole person, like there's no damage associated with
fair.
that.
Okay, so that's what it's not a damaging spell. It's any spell.
So
okay,
it doesn't like actually reflect their spell back at
so
them.
it's 5 to 45 damage is the range. It's 5 to 45 damage in increments of 5.
Mm-hmm. It's not crazy. I mean,
it's not
you cast
crazy.
a 9th level spell at me, I'm doing almost 50 points of damage to you. I mean, honestly, I think it should be more, but
yeah. And again, it's one of the, so what I would feel like, what I would feel better as in, there used to be, I think it was in 4th edition actually, that they had this feature for, not stabs of power, but they were like, actually it might not have been D&D, it may have been another TTRPG, but essentially like you would have these banners, right? It would be like your, the banner for your people. and you would basically treat it like a weapon. It'd usually be like a lance or a polearm or something, but it had your colors. But if you stuck it in the ground as an action and let go, it would have an AoE. Usually some sort of buff, right?
Yes.
And then you have to leave it there, but everything in that area had that buff. I kind of feel like that's what this needs to have, is like, we keep talking about like the ritual to set it up, but like it because it presented as this mini church.
Sure.
But I'm almost thinking if it's not going to lean into that, if it's not going to lean into this actually needing to be set up and utilized as an alternate church,
so
it should be more of this, like, you set this relic down like with intent, like you take it out of your backpack, you set it down, and it consecrates the ground, and as long as you're within the range,
so I
you
kind
have
of
the
like
ability
the
to
idea
activate this
of
stuff.
this having like 2 modes. So you have the whole unfold church mode that you can kneel at and pray at and get these the earlier benefits. But then you have the banner mode where you like set it down and just the what was the floating piece that it said? Just the little podium.
The
dais, yeah,
Oh, the
just
dais.
the dais like comes up, right? And it like represents, it like shines like the symbol of whatever god it is. And then if you use it in one of the other ways, you can't use it in this way. So if I use it to pray to
like every 24 hours, it can only be used as an altar or as a
banner.
beacon.
Yes.
So, yeah, something like that. Because again, I feel like I'm not understanding what it's meant to do. Like, again, back to the question of who made it and why.
So
I don't know what it's meant to do other than a lot of cool shit. Now, granted, none of the things that it did is not cool. Like everything is dope that it can do, but all together, I'm just like,
I just saw a word
okay,
that has a lot.
all right, let's go. Continue then.
So there are two,
we
there
always
are 2 sections
we
left.
never read ahead, so let's do
This
it.
is true. There are 2 sections left. I'll tell you what they're called. One is called curse, and the other is called sentience.
All right, let's hear them.
So,
we're already too far ahead of ourselves. Let's finish it out.
God bless America. All right.
Card's probably just laughing at us like, oh, just wait, you two.
Guys, just wait till they get to it. Okay. The altar demands reverence. Each dawn, you must perform a ritual sacrifice. This can be done in one of the following ways. You can offer 10 hit points. You can cast Sanctuary or Bane on yourself, or confess a secret or failure aloud. If you fail to do so, your connection to divine magic falters. You have disadvantage on all divine spell attacks and healing rolls until the next dawn. So, first thing, when it comes to the payment, I'm casting Sanctuary on myself every single time.
Why
I'm
wouldn't?
doing nothing else. Sanctuary is actually beneficial for me. Bane is not beneficial for me.
Well, yeah, and why would? Yeah, why? And again, you're already giving hit points, like as written. You're already giving hit points to do the other things. Why would I give hit points before giving hit points?
Sure.
It's again. Why? Why am I giving hit points just to say that I can give hit points later? I'm paying to pay. I'm paying for the option to pay.
I'm paying to let you pay.
But no, Sanctuary, because Sanctuary like doesn't do anything negative. Like,
No.
it's just basically forcing you to burn a spell slot to keep it. So that's what the curse is. It's basically pay HP or burn a spell slot. And I don't know why you would cast Bane on yourself.
Yeah, especially when the other option is Sanctuary.
Yeah.
Although I will say Sanctuary, and here's the thing, you just have to cast it. It doesn't have to stay active for you the entire day, because Sanctuary says, I can't do anything harmful to other people, right?
Yeah.
But when it's active on me, other people have to like roll a saving throw or target somebody else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
But that's the thing is like you're just basically having to burn a spell slot
really
in order to keep it
That's
up.
a first level, like, shoot, if I multi-class into wizard, I can get that back, no problem. That and some.
Or if you're already a sorcerer.
Yeah, just burn some sorcery points. Shoot, if you're a warlock, bro. Although actually warlock is way worse because everything is max level, so you're not just wasting a first level spell slot, you're wasting a 5th level spell slot potentially, because all your stuff gets cast at max
I
level.
kind of like what you were saying earlier, where if you paired them up and had like the choice every day of like what you could do, I kind of like the curse being the thing you have to give up, right?
Interesting.
Like you were saying, like gave up HP to get the damage output. Give up, wisdom. Like I like that idea of doing those in pairs, but then also having an individualized curse. That would be kind of cool. I'm always down for curses, or at least anything that is these powerful objects. I don't mind them being cursed objects like this. I don't mind them being thirsty. It's just I prefer the thirst to be more narrative driven. Like it thirsts for blood. So now granted, I think maybe we were misunderstanding it, because it does say you offer 10 HP, but it doesn't necessarily mean you sacrifice, as in it doesn't mean that it has to be your HP. So there could, I guess, be a way you could justify it, but here's the downside to that. Again, what is HP? HP isn't just blood.
Sure.
You can't just kill a squirrel. You can't just sacrifice a goat. Those are 1 HP things.
Sure.
Right? If that. Like you can't just do a regular human. That's a 1 HP creature, unless they're an adventurer. So the idea of sacrificing 10 HP, like, now granted, if the curse was, like every time you use it, it gets a counter, and after so many counters, it needs a sacrifice. So like the curse is it gains 10 counters. At the 10th counter, it needs a sacrifice, or it will take half your HP, your max HP, which means you have to basically, like, in combat or pre-combat, set it up and then kill a creature within its radius and sacrifice it to it. Something like that, right? Like make it to where it's going to be difficult to truly set it up. But if not, you're going to pay the price. But it costs you 10 uses before that happens.
Sure.
So how often do you really want to use this?
And you're like, hey, no, that was so valuable. Oh, I
right.
Do it again.
And like the setup is free. It's like, oh, you cast that thing.
Dude, imagine.
Should have made it like a bank. Yeah. Could make it to where you have to fill it. Like, so again, like I love the ideas. It's just
imagine, because that idea you had about sacrifice, imagine like the rest of the party didn't know about that, and like you start using this thing like more and more often, and you're like, and you have to like hide the fact that you're going to find people to sacrifice to this thing. And like I could see that being like a wild little side quest, or like undercover thing that you do with your DM. That I like stuff like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I love the idea of a curse. I just feel like you said, it's either asking too much, or it's making it too obvious what you're gonna choose.
Sure.
Like there's not really a reason to do that. Now what I could say, what does Bane do?
Bane gives you a negative 1d4 to all your attack rolls and saving throws, I think.
For how long?
A minute.
Oh, just a minute?
Yeah. Literally a minute. And Sanctuary is also only for a minute, too.
Like, what would be the hilarious is if the curse is that once each day at the start of combat, you must Bane an ally. How fucking cool would that? Like, so again, it's like you can sacrifice 10 hit points, cast Sanctuary on an enemy during combat, or at the beginning of combat, Bane an ally. And that was your cost. That would be fucking cool.
I do like this. I almost like the idea, because here it's like saying like each dawn, this is the first thing you have to do. Imagine if when you do this, you're basically promising this thing to occur.
Yeah.
And
if it doesn't, you're the one that's gonna pay in like HP or something.
Either that, or you almost are you're giving over your will to it, like you're compelled to do it. So like even if some other action would be the most advantageous thing for you to do first thing in combat, you just can't do it. There's no other action you can take other than this action that you you promised ahead of time. Now, I do kind of like the idea of consequences if you don't do it. So I don't know how well I feel about like compelling these things.
Yeah, and that's why I wouldn't mind the consequence being small at first, but like the idea is that like you have all day to basically do one of these things. Like, now granted, maybe every day is because you don't always get into combat every day. Sure. But I mean, Baning your pair, like you wake up, oh, Bane, all right, cool, well, we're good, right? I'll get you a beer later. Like who cares? It's okay. I'll wake up Baned.
I like if you can't do if you can't do Sanctuary on an enemy or Bane on yourself, then you have to give it 10 hit points by the end of the day.
And that's what I mean. It's like, like you're gonna end up paying for it.
Yeah.
Now it's funny. Cart brings up like, potentially having like loaned out like spells, like, like the idea of like it gives you the ability to
Sure,
do
sure,
spells,
sure.
but you have to pay it back later. So what I've always had this interesting idea. We talked about this like almost 2 years ago. Oh my
Really?
God. But this is an old idea that I've had where I wanted to make not a temporal wizard that messes with time,
Sure.
but I wanted to deal with a spellcaster that could work it to where they could steal their own spells. So imagine like you're out of spell slots, it's middle of the battle, and you're just like, we're about to go down, whatever. I need a spell. I'm going to reach into the future. DM, I'm reaching into the future and I'm grabbing a spell. It's like, cool. What level? 5th level spell slot, or, whatever, like whatever your game measure is. But like you say, I'm reaching in and I'm grabbing, whatever equivalent I can cast now. You're right. You can't grab a 9th level spell from future you. But let's say you can cast up to 5th level, right? So you say, I'm reaching in, I need to grab a 3rd level spell. I grabbed it. Cool. Boom, I cast it. From that point forward, whenever you cast a spell of that level or higher, you have to roll. And if you, D6 and on a 5 or 6, or like you roll percentiles.
Interesting.
And you have like a 30% chance. And whenever you roll, if you roll that number or 30% chance, or you roll a 5 or a 6,
That was the stolen spell.
that spell fails because that's a spell you stole from yourself in the past.
And the spell slot is expended.
Yes.
Yeah,
That spell slot is expended, but you failed the spell because you stole it from yourself.
Does the percent chance for you to fail increase
The longer it
the
goes.
longer it's been?
I don't think so. That's why I think it's just kind of like you don't know when you stole it from yourself. So that's the gamble.
See, I was thinking something more, we'll say, basic, where it's basically like, hey, I could either steal it from the future or from the past.
Well, so
and what it would be like is like, say if I spent all day yesterday and I just didn't cast 3 of my spells, and then I reset my spells, I can grab one of those spells, or I can grab one from tomorrow, and when I wake up, I won't have that one.
Yeah,
like
I thought about doing the past one where either like you just sacrifice a spell mid combat, be like, I don't want this spell to cast. Let a future me have it.
Yeah.
But I felt like it's either that or you have to always make like spells like basically like what I would have to do is like in 2nd edition, since there's spell fail, I would have to make a special percentage area of spell fail it gets sent. Like, so if you're casting a spell normally, you have like a 2% chance it fails at the very top end, and that goes into the future. And so when the next time you want a free spell, that's the one you're going to grab. Versus the other way, whereas if you want to spell from the future, every future spell is a 10% chance that was a spell you took. So I've never worked it out officially.
Sure.
But that's the idea of
I like that.
like the spell bank is basically, I like this idea of taking it, but again, the idea of you don't know when you're taking it is the cost.
Almost like that as like a feat you could take. Like any spellcaster could learn how to do that. Like, temporal casting or something like that, where you just learned how to play with the weave, because I don't know how it works in High Point, but the weave lightweight exists outside of time.
Oh yeah,
like it's just
absolutely.
It's just magic.
That's how the cataclysm
right?
happens.
So if that's the case, then whenever I'm pulling something from the weave, who knows when it's from? So I just have to learn how to reach somewhere else in it. I have to learn like that element of the weave and like how it works and all that kind of stuff. So I think that's a very interesting idea. Yeah, I'm gonna think about that more.
Yeah, so I've had this idea for a long time. It's just it's working out the mechanic. I think it sounds more like one of those. It's a one-off for a player who really wants to try it. I don't think it's a good codified class. But you know what I mean? Like, I just don't think that would be a class you could really.
Sure.
Unless you, again, maybe in 5th edition, but again, most of the things are like, they're so easy economy. There's no real sacrifice. Unless you introduce spell fail, where you don't know if this spell that you're about to cast
is going to actually do the
thing. And that's where I say, like, for 5th edition, it would have to be that spell or higher. Because, like, let's say you steal a 3rd level spell slot, and in the future you have no 3rd levels. If you just never cast a 3rd level spell again, then you technically never gave it to your. That's where you have to get around that. So it would be, it never grabs a lower level spell, but if you try to get away from ever casting a 3rd level, no, it still grabbed the power.
Sure.
But that's where I'm just like, there's got to be some sort of like risk involved. Otherwise, in 5th edition, it's just yet another action economy that's too easy to exploit.
Sure.
Because easy fights, you just say, oh, I'm not using spells. I guess those were taken from me. And it's like, oh, well, I guess you just get free spells whenever you want because You just don't have to use spells in order to accomplish it. So
yeah, it would not work as well in 5th edition because again, if you are, all right, tomorrow we're going through this dungeon and we're diving all the way down into it, but the next day we're gonna go back to town and I'm not gonna need to use any of my spells, and I'll just literally double the number of spells that I have.
Because you'll just say, I grabbed them from that
tomorrow
day.
because I know I'm not gonna use any tomorrow type deal.
And so
like,
giving them that choice, it's like you have to give them if you use this,
but
you don't know how it's going to kick you in the ass later.
See,
you can even do it to where it's like make them do a dice roll, or you do a dice roll as the DM. Maybe it's like a 1d12. So they say, how many spells do you want to grab? Like, I want to grab 2 spell slots. So you do like 2d12, and that's how many spells they have until it steals. So like you do a d12 and it says 2. After you're going to cast 2 more spells after this, and then that third one, that's the one you took. Like, it could be as simple as that. You roll, and can you imagine rolling a 12 and be like, you have 12 spells to cast before I take that spell away from you, but you have to sit there and count them down for session after session. But that's, again, there has to be something the player, again, for me, I don't buy this whole, abide by the player so you don't ruin their agency. Players don't have more agency than they think so.
Here's the thing. And this is the way I
punishment's
look at it.
Not like, agency.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like your agency is getting to walk into the situation with your eyes open. Your agency is getting to say, hey, I recognize that there's potential consequences here, and I'm prepared to accept those consequences by moving forward. That's where your agency comes in.
Your agency is taking the risk, right? Not avoiding
exactly.
it.
And if you don't want to take the risk, then don't take the risk. Don't walk down the road. Don't do the thing, right? But if you want to be able to do the cool thing, then you have to be willing to understand that sometimes doing the cool thing has a price. Edward found that out real quick. Messing around with alchemy, doing equivalent exchange, man. I'm telling you, and I believe in balance so much, man. Like it's very real. It's very real. So
there we go. Quote that.
Don't do the thing. Wild.
Don't do the thing.
Don't do the thing. It's big facts.
All right, so let's see what the sentience is all about.
Yes,
because I'm down with the curse, but I'm just. Again, I don't know what we're dealing with here. I don't know what this thing is.
Yeah, I feel like if we're gonna find out, it's got to be here. Okay, sentience. The altar of Hollow Saints is a sentient neutral item with an intelligence of 18, a wisdom of 20, and a charisma of 24. It speaks in a chorus of reversed voices. It craves emotion, particularly guilt, devotion, and sacrifice. If left unused for too long, it begins to weep blood.
So somewhere before it said something about bleeding.
Yes, I'm pretty sure that was in the description.
Oh,
yes.
That was all the way back in the description.
The altar sings when it bleeds.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, so that's the same thing. All right, I was kind of hoping for a little bit more there. With sentient items, I have a very high bar. So, yeah, the fact that it's sentient with an intelligence of 18 and you're doing just all of this with like
those mental stats are wild.
Dude, this thing should be smarter than you. This thing should be counseling you. Like this thing should be I'm not saying this thing should be acting like your new god, but this thing should be acting like your personal like spiritual advisor with the level of 18 with the 18 intelligence.
Here's the thing: when I think about a sentient item, all right, again, does this thing have? Is this like whatever entity created it put a portion of its of its consciousness into this thing? Is that what its sentience is?
Is it your deity's chat GPT?
Yeah.
Like because you've connected to it, so your divine thing, you're basically, this is just your version of like telecommunications with it?
This is where I have a slight problem with it. Is because this one craves emotion, particularly guilt, devotion, and sacrifice. Not every god is going to care about those things. Not every entity,
but this thing cares.
And so it's like, there must be something about this and or how this thing was created that causes that craving or that drive for it, right? So
I mean, I get the idea of, it's being, and see, that's the other thing too. It's like it wants guilt, so that it devotion. So it sounds like it wants confession, right? Again, it's calling back to the description of, I've set up these pews, I've set up this altar. It's expecting people to pray and to confess and to spew their love for their deity in front of this altar
themselves.
And if you're the cleric, you're probably giving the sermons. And that's the thing where it's like, where was that? Like, where was the thing where you can use this to do sermons and religious people will come by to listen to you and tithe, and you can make 1d6 copper a day from doing a service, like, because that could be super great at very low levels, because we still don't know, like, it's a wondrous item. You're probably not going to start with this, especially with how powerful it is, but like it tries to call back to it being this mini church, which I would love it to be, because that's what I would do. I would say that when you set it up, you get a protective area. You may actually attract nearby religious people or people of faith that don't necessarily have a specific religion to hear your sermon, and maybe they'll tithe to you, maybe they'll donate, maybe you'll get free food, right? Maybe this is one of those, you tie it into where this is a way for, I mean, usually clerics get a free food anyway, but those towns that don't have a temple, maybe this is why you get free food, is you set one of these up and local people come by and they buy some holy water from you, they give you some food in exchange for a blessing. Like, there's so many good ways that you could do that, but if this thing wants those things, then it's not, I don't want to say shoehorned role play, but it's like it goes back to that aimlessness where it's like it's trying to touch too many areas without defining what its purpose is.
I know this feels mostly pointless. Like, you could totally, again, when I first saw this thing, it gave me like the vibes of something like Inspiring Leader, which is where you take a 10-minute speech from somebody who takes this feat and you can get temporary hit points. You can just get something.
Got you.
I almost imagine this, like, I could go into a town and I could set up my little altar right here, and I could do, like, I could choose like between one of 3 speeches or something like that. And if I like roll well on like a performance check, everyone that hears me or everyone within a certain radius gets the sanctuary spell on them. And then they go about their days with the sanctuary spell on them, not necessarily recognizing what they've been afflicted by, but they get all the benefits of it. Or maybe they get the blessed spell, or whatever the case may be. Like, there's something that you're doing that you're speaking out this entity's word is being spread. People are hearing its word and they are receiving benefit from it, and they are saying, oh my gosh, I feel so much better having heard about Zenith's grand deeds, or whatever the case may be.
Right.
Like, I think that idea of, hey, like, again, like, if you want to use it for yourself, if you want to use it to like help you in combat, like, maybe if you do a certain number of these a day or something like that, you can get a benefit for the rest of the day or something like that, but you have to be successful. I don't know, but like, so that gives me like the vibe of what this initially.
So here's what I would kind of like, if I want to take this as much as face value as I can. One thing that I would do is I would twist this, because it does say it's a neutral intelligence, right?
Sure.
So what I now want this, how I would envision this thing existing in High Point, knowing this now.
Okay.
Knowing the curse, knowing the sentience, knowing that it's not from a direct deity. I don't know how it was created just yet, but the idea is that this thing is an entity of knowledge, specifically an entity of religious history. Okay. So the idea is it seeks, ergo the entombment, it seeks the most devout. That's just its lore. It seeks the most devout. Therefore, it can I think something's playing, because I hear,
there's like sound coming.
I think there is sound coming from it. That's
if you
fine.
Look at the top bars, usually there'll be a little thing that has like a speaker symbol on it, and it might tell you which tab says something.
I don't see it. It's just barely there anyway, so it doesn't matter that much. I was like, what is going on? But so I'm thinking like, so its purpose is to learn as much as it can. Like, its whole lore is it wants to learn as much as it can about every religion. Like, it was created to gather as much religious understanding. So it is, so while it
that
could
would make sense for the attunement too.
So it seeks people who are the most devout, therefore know the most about a deity, right? Or an entity.
So a passive would be like it could give you bonus checks on Arcana and History because it's sentient. So it would basically feed you the information.
Sure.
And then what it does is essentially it's one of those things where it attunes to you, says, oh, I want information. Give me information about your thing. I can give you information. Therefore it says, hey, I'll give you Arcana checks. I'll give you history checks. But here's the deal. The more you start to use it after a certain amount, the more it wants, right? So at first it's like, hey, if you enroll me, I become basically your prayerable church. Tell sermons with me. People will tithe to you. So it has all these tiny little benefits. Maybe at first you'll use, but over time you're like, whatever.
Sure.
But the more you use it at first, the more information it wants about. It basically wants to bleed you dry. So then eventually after so many uses, right, it starts to make bargains with you. It's like, hey, you know that you can get some free money by using me? That's great. Hey, if you tell me a little bit more information, I can let you summon a wraith, or I can give you this spell over here. Do you want to cure your buddies? Give me some information about your god real quick, and I can give you this spell, right? So it does this until eventually you're just like, bro, I've told you all I know, blah blah blah, or hey man, I don't need your spells right now, and it's like, but I wanted the information from you. It's like it's okay, I'll just take the information, and then you lose 1 max HP the first time you deny it, and then the next time you deny, like maybe it's like every week, and then it's 2 HP. And then eventually it's like, if I can't get the information, I will bleed it from you because your god's within you, right? I will drink the information. And that's the curse part of it. And then again, there's this whole thing where you would have to do something to get rid of it. Like only your god can rid you of it. So you have to do some adventure to get your god to, but that's where I imagine this thing is.
I like that a lot.
I love those cursed items that the more you use it, the more it sucks.
I'm thinking like you have to pass like a religion check every morning, and at the beginning it starts easy. This is you passing on information, and knowledge.
Yeah.
And at
but the more you have to go into your own religion, the less you
have
know.
to go deeper and deeper and deeper. And so either like I feel like at a certain point it should have a cap, like a DC cap.
No, absolutely.
But like imagine like the cap was like a DC 25. And so, like, you only get the benefits if you can successfly give it the thing.
And if you have, like, proficiency in religion, you get an extra bonus. And then maybe you can add your wisdom or intelligence bonus to your roll. Like, but yeah, no, I get this idea. Like, I love that.
I even imagine, so I like what you're saying about hit points, but almost like the idea that it's stealing...
OMG Vortex, I love that altar that has no designated worship, so it tries to take more of others because it's hollow.
Yes.
Oh, there you go.
Yes.
That's why it wants to know is it has no faith. So it's literally just like, give me yours. I don't understand. Like it's an entity. It's literally a sentient item. It has no ability to understand faith, but its desire is that's cool. Like
imagine this is an entity that's trying to become a god. And it's trying to like get as much information about that as possible, and like how like and maybe because it's a conduit for worship or something.
No. It was a cleric, because y'all don't use paladins for holy purposes anymore. But it was a cleric trying to make the ultimate altar, right? Like let's say their deity was like the deity of like openness, right? Like the deity of just togetherness. And so they were like, I want to make the ultimate altar, an altar anyone can come to in light of my deity, the Almighty, that everyone's free to come to and worship on, because my deity is all about free worship, free faith. I'm going to build this and try to put literally themselves into it, like the full, like I'm going to put my spirit into it. And they did it. They created this altar, but what ended up happening is they put their soul into it, but lost all of their faith in the process. So now the sentience is that divine remember that once famously faithful, devout cleric literally lost their faith, but not in a bad way, not in a I'm evil, but literally I remember being faithful, I remember being devout, I remember being righteous.
All you are now is faith. It's not that you lost
and
your
I'm
faith, it's
not.
like yourself. And like all you're left is
and
faith.
now it's I'm searching for my faith again. So it's so
crazy.
So it's like take away your intelligence, like take your mind, but none of your emotions. And so you're like, I remember what I felt, but I don't feel it. And now I feel empty. I want that. So now it's just going around being like, where's my faith? Tell me yours. Give me a reason to be faith. Like it's basically just trying to find a reason to get its faith back. There's so many ways.
I was thinking about, instead of sacrificing hit points, if you got to choose, you got to sacrifice a point in one of your mental stats.
A point when your mental stats.
And then now, again, it's one of those things where the more you don't use it, the more you don't succeed in using it. So I lose 1 to my intelligence, but then I take a long rest and I get it back. But if I don't use it again the next day, I lose 2 points. If I don't get it back the next day, so you have to like, and every time you use it, it'll reset it. It'll reset it. So it's like, it's not like the end of the world, but the harder it gets, the more likely you're going to go days in a row without being able to use it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The more you're not going to be able to give it that information. And so like, I can see that sort of like curse being something scary, but also something some people are willing to deal with. But also something like, hey, if this gets too scary, if this gets too, oh my gosh, it's so hard. I'm always failing my religion checks. I haven't been able to use this thing in a week. I am down 5 wisdom points. I cannot do this again. I have to unattune to this. I have to leave this somewhere else. Right? You know, now I don't know, because I know your idea of cursed items is almost always you can't unattune to it without choice or
typically if it's officially
like
cursed, the whole point is you can't get rid of it.
But
either by you don't
especially
think you want
sentient.
to. Oh yeah, if it's sentient, it won't let you go. But it's either you don't want to or you can't.
Sure.
And that's typically, again, that's my classic version of cursed items. That's the whole point, is they draw you in, and by the time you realize it, it's too late.
Yeah.
But no, these are great ideas. Like this is what I mean is like sentient and cursed. I love this idea of it wants the religious knowledge. It's because again, it's not trying to be your own deity, right? It's not replacing your warlock deity. It's just saying, I want to know about, I love the idea, what you were saying about a religion check every morning.
Yeah.
Just the idea of you have to feed it. And again, just it gets harder, whether it's however many times you use it. So it's like every 3 times you officially use its ability, like anytime you activate one of its abilities, every 3rd time you get a counter. For every counter, that's a +1 to your religion check.
Sure.
So it's like, yeah, you can use it as much as you want, but every so many times, add the counter, right? And every counter, it's going to mean that it's going to be harder for you to satisfy it without pain.
Yes.
And then there's going to be like and then maybe, you know, I know 5th edition doesn't like things like, you know, making it there that be a punishment, but like you can get rid of it at any point, but it will reduce your max HP by 25% for a week or 25 for a few days. Like make it one of those, like when you take away, it's like, oh, you want to get rid of me? Oh, I'm taking something for the road.
Dude, I like that. But again, especially because what its lore is, I love it stealing stats.
Yeah.
Because it's so mentally driven, because you've mentally attuned to it. It's almost like you're ripping it away from, like you take 2 different colors of Play-Doh and you start mixing them together.
It Force took the knowledge, and it's going to take you a few days to recover your memories and
So if you
like psychic damage,
if you stop using it, like say, imagine it was taking points, like if you stop using, if you decide to try and unattune to it, it takes that many points from you and it stays that way for like a week or something like that. You lose those points for like a whole week or something crazy like that.
I mean, it could be like a number of days equal to one of the modifiers. Like if you want to make it focus on intelligence, it's a number of days equal to your intelligence modifier before it starts to eat away at your intelligence. So the lower your intelligence, the less time you have in between when you can use it. So the more it takes, the more quickly it takes. So yeah, if you have a 5 intelligence, you have 5 days before you have to use it or feed it. And if it doesn't, it takes one of your intelligence points, but now you have only 4 days. And then it takes another intelligence points. Now you still have 4 days. And then it takes another intelligence points. Now you only have 3 days. And then eventually it's just eating your brain day after day after day after day after day. So yeah, there's a lot of different ways to do the curse. I really like, I like that they added the sentience. It just, it makes it go in a completely different direction with the sentience. But going back to its abilities here, it's like, yeah, the mirror, I wish it was more of like the protective barrier than an ability.
Sure.
I don't mind being able to pick up a multiple times per day usage. It doesn't make sense how it's meant to be used in this way. And I don't mind the passives. It's just, again, while none of it by itself and none of it combined is, oh my God, it's too powerful, I just don't get it. Like, I don't get why these things are here. I don't want to get so complex as it to be when you attune to it based on what you are is what you get.
Sure.
But I just feel like it's not trying to do too much. It's shotgunning. It's again, it's not, I say that because when I say something is trying to be too much, it's like it's trying to be more than one thing.
Yeah.
This does feel like it's trying to just be its thing. It's just, it's trying to be a shotgun And granted, it doesn't have to be a sniper rifle.
So
it's just it feels like it's trying to be a shotgun, then
I
like an
very
assault
much
rifle.
agree with that assessment. I think kind of like we were talking about, if we were to like unify some of these options together and you choose one of them, like I think there's a path to a little bit more what I would say, you know, purpose. Again, shotgun, there's a bunch of pellets going all over the place, but you know, a specific round,
you know what I would do?
Specific way like that. There's a way to get
I got
to
you,
that, but
dude. Especially because all the spellcasters have a different one. What if when you attune to it, you choose wisdom, intelligence, or charisma? Because those are your
whichever one of those
spellcasters.
is what you get.
You get the abilities, because basically what you're saying is, like, if you're a charisma caster, like let's say a warlock's a charisma caster, right? Is the warlock a charisma caster?
Yes.
So your knowledge is your charisma about your deity, right? It's not your knowledge of its history. It's what did you do to get involved with this deity, right? It's more of your charisma because it's your emotion. It's the deal you made. So it goes after your charisma. It's based on your charisma modifier, and it would give you whatever these ones you would assume are charisma based. If you did an intelligence, it would go after your intelligence. It would be an intelligence based roll every day. Like I'm just trying to think of, like, in order to not make it complicated, but to make it make sense that it's going to target what you do.
I will say for me, one of the largest boons of this thing is its potential diversity.
Yes.
The fact that each day I might be able to choose something. So if I choose that when I attune to it, then it removes a lot of its value for me. Not all of it, obviously.
But you like that the fact that one person does have this much is where I'm saying it's a little like, and it's a lot to give one person for, again, not a lot of understanding of why.
It is, but it's like, and that's that last piece is what I think is, it's like, if I can find a way to hone it in a way that makes a lot more sense. It's like, why is this the thing that's happening? Why am I going with these resistances? Why am I getting flame strike? Why am I like, if there's a way to present that in a way that feels more focused, rather than it's just like, oh, you can do any of these things, you can do all of those things, you can do these ones sometimes, you know, like I very much agree that, like, it does feel like I'm a spider with a bunch of legs touching a bunch of different things.
Then what I wouldn't mind then is like a little bit of both, right? So I would say that when you attune to this, either based on what you are or based on your choice. The idea being, like, with the Hollow Blessing, you get the radiant necrotic damage resistance. I kind of like that, right?
Yeah.
This is just a generalized holy protective. Almost like the lore is basically saying that this is getting you closer to the divine realm. Not even just your deity, just the divine realm. You're just that much closer. So that's where you get the resistance. It's totally fine. Then I wouldn't be fine saying, now is your choice based on the path you've chosen. Choose your side. And you would either get the immunity to being charmed by celestials
or the undead.
And with that, you would get the accompanying. If you don't get attacked by undead, you can summon a wraith. If you can't be charmed by celestials, you can divine heal. But both of them get a flame strike. So it's like, let that be one of those things where it's like, both of them are going to get a damage dealer. Because again, this thing is just divine power. So the flame strike is just like divine power. But your ability to choose the good side, quote unquote, the celestial side, means celestials don't fuck with you and you get to cure wounds. Or the undead don't fuck with you and you get to summon the undead. I know they're not perfectly equivalent, but I think I would feel better than that
symmetry. Now, would that again be something you're talking about choosing at attunement, and it's
the reason
for the
why
entirety of your attunement?
The reason why, yes, and the reason why I say that is because it would be more reflective of
whatever
the representative you are.
Yeah.
Because again, this thing being in a relationship,
I do get that.
And again, I'm only changing that mindset because it's sentient and it has this curse. Yeah. I'm going with this mindset. If it's sentient, it wants knowledge, and it wants, again, if it's not the proprietor of the power, it's just the conduit. What is its motive? It's sentient, so it either wants to or it doesn't want to do this.
I'm not gonna lie, I like that option a lot better.
But that's why I would say it has to be
foundation, and then one of those, and I think honestly, no matter, like, depending upon what person you are, whether you are a cleric, whether you are a warlock, whether you are a divine, like, whatever it is that you are, you're gonna have some element of the divine of that you're connected to. whether it be more undead, maybe you worship the god of death, maybe you worship the god of the grave, whatever the case may be, who knows.
Oh, you know what I would be
you're-
down for?
You're more celestial.
Again, I because the other thing that bugs me is that the lore says that this is supposed to be set up as a mini church. When this is set up, like when you deploy this, allies within its radius, the 30-foot radius,
Sure.
allies within the radius get hollow blessing.
Oh,
Meaning
so you
while
get the
they're
active benefits, but they get the passive benefits.
Yeah, so you always have the passive benefits by being the carrier of this thing. But when you honestly set it up, anybody within inside basically has the same thing, the radiant necrotic, and they choose the good or bad side. And that's kind of where they would get those passive things inside. Just it's minor, but they would basically get those inside. Now, granted, how does that work? I don't necessarily know.
So
Like again, more roleplay, more
yeah.
roleplay purposes, but
that would I also think that, like, you know, there would be certain elements that I'd probably want attached to it, like, hey, if this is the case, then how many times a day can I do this? How long does it take? How long does it last for? Is it last literally, if I set it up at the beginning of the day and we just put it right here, does that mean this place is like that for the next 24, 48, a million years? Like,
right.
well, again, recognizing this is a legendary item, so something like that isn't off the table. So I'm saying it's just as long as it's active, period, full stop. Like, this is the
Because
case.
it has
like,
its own power source, it has its own motive.
yeah,
So it makes a lot of sense.
I could totally see that being the case, but I would want clarity on what that means, like how that works. But outside of that, yeah, like that could be a very cool benefit, especially seeing as though this is something that would be so interesting. It was talking about speaking in like reversed choruses and stuff like that. Like, imagine any of your allies that are within it while it's set up, like, is softly hearing those reversed choruses like in their ear as they're receiving these benefits or whatever the case may be. And maybe they're almost getting, I don't want to say swayed by it or anything, but you know, something like that. But okay, no, I'm super down for that. I really enjoy how that works. I love what this is, to be very honest. I know that it is a little chaotic's the wrong word, but like I love a lot of the things that this brings to my mind as we're talking about it.
So I just had an idea for a secondary item too, or another version of this, but because Cart was saying, you know, the idea that this is hollow, so it doesn't have a religion of its own, hence why it
Sure.
just will feed off of anything. So imagine a very similar item to this where it starts hollow, it's sentient, right? Gives you some passive abilities, but you have to do these checks or, you know, whatever. But after so long, essentially you're charging it with your own religion, right? Like you're by doing something, by doing the sacrifice, by giving it something in order to get something from it, it starts to build up a counter, right? And that counter is in favor of your religion or whatever. So imagine if, like, after a certain point it fills up and then you get like a free use of divine intervention and then it empties. And then not only does it empty, it auto unattunes and becomes the item that you found, waiting to be attuned again if you want, or you can discard it into the world and let it find its new owner. But just basically mean like you can charge it and then get like a free use of like divine intervention because you charged it with your energy. So it's kind of like your god's like, hey,
You know what?
you've
I'm
done
not gonna
enough in my
lie.
name.
I like that, especially because divine intervention is so powerful, and generally speaking, you only get one of those. I think it would be cool is once you attune to it, you can't attune to it again.
Yeah, so once you've charged it and used it, it will
It's got
auto
everything it
unattune.
needs from your religion, and it doesn't.
It's like,
needs a
thanks.
different one.
Yep, thank you.
And like imagine if there were like some sort of like indicator on like the different gods that have been assimilated by it, and like you can't if it's already got one of yours.
Well, and you could just say that like it has your perspective. It now understands
Sure.
your faith.
Yeah.
It doesn't need you anymore.
That's fair.
It's not about your God.
That's fair.
But what can you now tell me about your God that you haven't already? I've got enough about your perspective. I need their perspective about your God.
Sure.
Because that's the full picture, right? And because I've always looked at that too, as like, you know, the God with more followers, that, you know, part of High Point lore, right? Yes, souls are important. Yes, they're individual power sources, right? But again, why are souls that essentially are of High Point, are of Zenith, why are they important to him? Why does he need followers in a world that he created that everyone knows of, right? So there has to be something more to it, right? Well, followers, yes, are individual slivers of power, mostly Zenith's diluted power at this point, but they're slivers of power. But they're more than that when they become followers. Like, this is why gods care so much, because this is why it's easy to, someone who follows you, someone who knows about you and says, yeah, I'll follow that god, is a nobody to you, because they just don't have enough. But it's not because of what they are. You know a lot about gods.
Sure.
Like, you know of many gods. You know, Davd is very well aware of many gods. You're still more important to all of those gods that you're aware of than any peasant who follows them and cares about them and who lives their lifestyle. And it's not because, not necessarily because of their power source, right?
Sure.
Granted, you are a unique power source, but what followers also represent to gods, especially the greater they get and the more that they get, is that think of them kind of like their own Horcruxes or their own phylacteries. Every person is now an image of you, their perspective of you, their interpretation of you, along with their faith. Faith is magic. So think of like, how like, the Death Note works. You need the name and the image in order for it to work. Now imagine the Death Note was faith. With the name and the image, that faith fuels power. So every follower you get has an image of you, an idea of you, an existence. You technically exist in a way to that, like, in the real world, right? There is a version of you that exists in every person you've ever met.
Yeah.
And you don't know who that is.
And it's very interesting, because that's honestly, I've had a lot of experience with like, relatives and stuff like that, but like there is, I literally view it the exact same way. There's like an image of them, like they stick with you, they stay with you, their experiences, they imprint.
But that is not the same as your siblings, your parents. And so that's why to gods, yes, an individual soul is a sliver of power. But once they truly become a follower, like if they just know about you, that's fine, but that's not enough of an image of you. But one who is dedicated to you, read your writings, followed your word, given their time, effort, mental space for you, that builds a new image. You technically exist to them in them. That's that whole, the spirit's with you idea, right? That's so when you become a follower, you actually become more important, not because your soul became more powerful, but your perception of them. That's why Davd is more important. The more you know about the world and the understanding of a god, simply hearing a god's name immediately makes your vision of them more powerful than a farmer. Because a farmer looks at every god as a god. They're all the same level.
Sure.
But you, Davd, who has met and conversed and, sat with a god, you've sat with the god. So who do you care? Like, any other god to you is a lesser god in your mind because you have sat with Zenith himself.
I mean, but it's very Davd has a very specific, like, and interesting perspective on like religion and stuff like that. But exactly.
Your understanding of just the hierarchy, your understanding that they are different matters, because that immediately means that your image of them is put on a different pedestal. When a normal person hears of other gods, in their mind there might be a hierarchy, but their understanding
part of a pantheon.
Their understanding is that they're all in the same bubble.
Sure.
That bubble has things, but they're all in the same bubble. But your understanding is like, no, we're not in the same bubble. You're not. It's like thinking, oh, you're all race car drivers. It doesn't matter who stands on the podium. You're all race car drivers. It's like, no, some are race car drivers, some are Olympic swimmers, some are, fighter pilots, and they all get ranked differently, they all mean something different, and they don't have anything to do with each other, but they do. That knowledge alone.
They're all athletes, but they're all very different types of athletes with very different types of.
So someone who just meets someone and goes, okay, you play ball. Okay, that doesn't matter. But someone goes, oh, I know what division you're in. You're more important to them.
Sure.
Because you took the time and effort to understand them. Right.
And to get your image of them closer to reality, because the reality is, like, even right now, like, your image of me and my image of you is not perfect.
Yeah.
It is a flawed image based upon my experiences and the elements that I've extrapolated from what I haven't seen. But you've been there the whole time. Honestly, personally, I think our own personal image is flawed, because our memory is flawed, and like
our memory is flawed. And our biases of like what other people think. But the comparisons we make.
So yeah, the effort, the energy, the desire to get that image as close to accurate / reality as possible, I genuinely feel is brings and breeds, because then the image that they put out in the world is closer to reality than other people, and so it starts culminating an entire perspective that is now not just like it's more powerful overall. Like it becomes more powerful the more accurate that image
And
really
think
is.
about it. Think about this. So again, trying to tie it back to the conversation at hand. Think about how like celebrities, the more people have an image of the celebrity, the more influential that celebrity is, right? If you think if everyone agrees that a celebrity dresses a certain level and everyone agrees it's a nice level, that celebrity has more influence over fashion.
Sure.
If everyone likes the way they dress, people are going to be more influenced by the way they dress and what they say about dressing, right?
Sure.
But that's the whole point. So same thing about deities, right? The reason why is yes, individual souls are powerful, but the more they follow you, that's why clerics are more important than followers. Followers are more important than believers. Believers are more important than people who just, who just don't care. Like the whole point is it's not just their individual soul, because every one of them has the same soul power. But their understanding and belief and dedication forms a better picture. And in that picture, you exist now. You are yet another existence of yourself, because as a god, you exist in multiple dimensions. So someone thinking of you and having an image of you is kind of like yet another dimension of you.
Sure.
And that's why it's powerful. And that's why the more powerful the soul and the more dedicated they are accumulates into those, like the paladins of the holy warriors, the clerics that become, temple wardens, because they're the ones who hold the most influence, the most power, and they're the ones that you care about the most. They're the ones that you talk to, right? They're the ones that get the dreams. They're the ones that get to see you in person, not regular everyday followers who don't matter to you, who couldn't, who they've read your Bible and they said, okay, that's cool. I'll be nice and I'll do those things. But otherwise, all they see you as is a representation of those words. They don't see you as a piece of the universe. They see you as the thing that will do them right as long as they follow these words. How important is that image to you? It's important because you want more people to follow the way that you believe, but it's not as important as someone who says like, oh no, I understand why you need that person out of your way. That's different than my God just does things that it needs to do. Totally, again, influence. You can actually do something. So again, I digress. That's why I kind of like this idea of being able to fuel it, because by fueling it with pieces of your religion and getting that snapshot from you and being like, hey, I gave you a divine intervention because I understood enough about your God that I made it direct. It's basically like dialing a phone number. Like the more you use me, the more I will dial this phone number and I will connect you right to your God. You'll get that divine intervention. But once I've made the connection, guess what? I've literally learned everything I can between you and that God.
To get directly to that God from your perspective or from your place.
So I literally could not learn any more possible.
You know what?
About your God from you.
Crazy, but that works so well.
And that's why
wild.
That's why that would work in High Point.
I like that.
Because that's exactly what this item would represent in High Point, is why a soul matters, or why a follower, not necessarily the soul, matters to a God. Like your soul, Dov's soul, matters more to gods because you're a unique soul, right? You were literally a power source created outside, but within High Point, right? You're like the Neo of High Point, kind of.
Sure.
Well, all players are. They are the Neos, because Zenith didn't create your soul. You are a byproduct of High Point. You didn't come from High Point. And that's why your soul matters. But imagine, especially why someone may maybe pay attention to you a little bit. Imagine what it would be like for a soul like you to also believe and then be dedicated to a God in High Point. It's a double whammy.
Yeah.
And that's why players are usually, and this is where I justify why God, I mean, granted, it was a second edition and Forgotten Realms thing that gods were very prevalent and always around, but this is why I justify it in High Point. Why do you guys, not always, but I mean, why does it seem so easy for you guys to be involved with gods? Old Gods campaign, the entire fucking thing is about God. Why is it so easy? Not necessarily because it's easy to run high powered, high fantasy campaigns in High Point, but it's because, again, the moment you appear, they've been watching you. They just need an excuse to get in your way. But again,
to come interact, to come
but
touch,
they can't. They can't do the direct interference until they've been provoked. You walked into Zenith waited your entire, again, in game, like in lore, Zenith waited Dov's entire life for you to walk into that temple. Every god was.
Sure. Now that's an interesting thought process. Now,
What's up?
How the hell do I make an absolute shit post of a magical item months ago and it still leads to wonderful rants of creativity?
This is what I'm saying, man. This is what I'm saying, man. This is good shit.
This is how it works, man.
So okay,
This is what we do.
so you just said Zenith has been waiting Dobbs' entire life for all of this to occur, right?
Every god has.
So the question becomes, the soul that Dobbs has right now, has he always had that soul? Or was it only when, and again, I know this is very meta, but like, is it only when I took over? Is it only at the point where I started the campaign? Or is it since his inception?
See, that's the thing, is that would imply, and this is where it's important, because this is why I love questions like this from you, because you understand there's a very deep understanding. So here's the reason why it isn't like that. It is not that your soul appeared in High Point, like, suddenly
changed.
No, that is not, because that would imply Dovd existed before you started gaming with me. Even though Dovd is 20 some odd years old, that's assuming that he was in existence and somehow you leaped into his body retroactively and started.
Sure.
That's not how it works. Dovd has always been a part of High Point, as old as he is. If he's 20 years old, then he's been in High Point for 20 years. So when you create the character, I have to retroactively backdate where you're from, and I have to integrate that into the world. Hence why it's sometimes the shit you guys do annoys me, because the butterfly effect sucks. But when you do that, when you apply those butterfly effects, that's what I'm basically doing is, okay, you were born 20 years ago, which means based on where you were born and the backstory you gave me, I have to figure out whose attention have you gotten. Because it's not like every god in existence just goes, oh, there's a new soul, let's watch him.
Sure.
But the moment they become aware of you, they're not going to stop watching you.
Sure.
So any god that is of the four nations, like any god y'all pray to, most likely knows about you. Any of the four nation gods probably know about you, simply because you were in that society. You're more likely to have interacted in some way with all of those gods, and it doesn't take a lot to get their attention from a soul like yours. It's basically like a golden coin in a sea of white. You know what I mean? Like, imagine just a bunch of grayish white figures, and then there's just a giant golden beacon. That's basically what you are to them, but they can't do anything about it. Even the four nations couldn't even just because you were part of them doesn't mean they could directly interfere. You had and you even said Dov grew up with no interest in actual gods, only in the natural powers that they may manifest. That was the closest you ever got. So all the Fire Nation gods were like, well, fuck. What can we? And again, you weren't a part of any events, so there was no way for them to shoehorn themselves in. It wasn't basically every god that came across you in that 20 years was waiting for you to walk in. Zenith knew about you, but he kind of knows about everything, but it's more of one of those, unless he shifts his focus. It's not like, it wasn't just like a ringing bell where he's like, oh, Dov's here. It's just, he knows that they exist, but it's not until they get into his focus where he's like, oh, I can now start talking to you. So yes, did he know about you? Sure. But it wasn't like Zenith was waiting there going, tomorrow he's going to walk into my temple. The moment you walked into his temple, it was a fucking blaring alarm going, oh shit, he finally showed up. I've been waiting. He knows Nets is out there. But it's not like he's watching every step waiting to interfere. He's just like, there are spirits out there that I want, and every god may want before me. You just happen to walk in, set the alarm off, and he's like, I'm going to roll out the red fucking carpet for this dude. And he did. But that's every god. Every god has a reason to want to that again.
Some nefarious, some genuine, but yes, absolutely.
But this is why, when it comes down to it, it's not just because you're all are heroes, right? You've run into things that are obviously more hero than you. But that's the thing. You aren't the only heroes, but it's not that you are just heroes. You are things that matter in the world, in both what you do, but in also what you are.
And it's interesting because it's almost like it's not like an NPC can't and or doesn't affect the world, like they do, but also they don't. The world will operate exactly as the world operates despite any NPC. It's only the PCs that really, like you're saying, disrupt the flow, or that influence those points of flux
Yes.
that you were talking about, like the one we were talking about.
PCs are the reason points of flux exist. The only reason why those points exist are because PCs exist. If PCs didn't exist, all of that would be hard coded and written, and I'd have the story.
It's
and
literally
I'd
just, yeah, the
I'd
story
literally
is the
just
story.
rewrite the next like Game of Thrones, or I should just
It's a book otherwise.
But yeah, I might as well just rewrite the entire series and that'd
Yeah.
be it. But that's the point, is the players are there because
Yeah.
there are times at which I haven't written it because they're there waiting to be nailed down. They're
Touched,
waiting
interacted with.
to be
Yeah.
decided. And that's where I feel it's the most fun. It
I
gives
got
me the
mad
most
respect for that.
opportunities.
Absolutely.
Because again, there's definitely two different fields of thinking when it comes to DMing, and it is either everything is scripted or, well, layers to it, but it's either scripted and linear or scripted and open.
Sure.
I mean, scripted, I don't really do scripted, but the idea is basically linear or open. And open has layers, right? So does linear, but linear meaning even if you get a fork in the road, I already know exactly what's behind door number 1 and door number 2. I know exactly what you're going to fight. I have it planned. I have it basically linear is every option is scripted, no matter how many options it seems like you have.
Sure.
They're all going to point
I mean,
to
like
the end
you
result.
have those options, but like either you fight creature A or you fight creature B. Like those are your
But
options.
after
It's not
that,
like
it's
oh,
going to go to BBEG. It's
Yeah,
like it's always going to end in the BBEG. How you get there is your choice.
Sure.
But every step along the way I've chosen. Whereas there's the more open approach where it's like you have 3 different endings, and how you get to either one, any of them is up to you. And then there's fully open, which is mine, where it's like I don't know what's behind the next door. Like I do, but I haven't like
it's not rendered yet.
yeah, it's like I know what's behind there. I know that if you go into the woods, there's a goblin camp, and I know if you go up the river, there's orcs. But I haven't said if you go right, it will be an attack of 5 orcs, and if you go left, it will be an attack of 6 goblins. Once you make that decision, like you said, it's going to be like, okay, well, you chose to go that way. Oh, but you wanted to rest first. Oh, okay. Well, that means that they're going to go hunting. So then when you go, there's going to be less of them. That's how my shit works. Is it's not like, oh, you chose the goblins, so you are going to have
If you're
this
smart
fight.
enough to like see the guard like rotation, you'll know when
Yes.
the king's chambers are going to be
yeah.
empty if you want to sneak in there and do some stuff.
So it's like I have a rough idea of I know how many goblins there are and I know what they're doing, but I don't know what you're going to do to get their attention.
Sure.
I don't know if you're going to go right there right now. I don't know if you're going to go there when they're eating. That's what I mean by like my game is a little bit different. And again, I know most people probably just look at that and just go, oh, so you just make it up as you go along. And it's like, no, there is so much that's planned. It's just, it is not a by the book scripted and linear. It is
most people already have the numbers, but you have the equation. Yeah, I think that's the difference. It's like, hey, I've already done the math and I've already decided that there's going to be exactly 5 guys in there when you go in there. It's like, because like,
yeah,
you think about video games, like when you go through door A, like the same thing's going to be in there every single time, no matter how many times you wait, no matter how many day cycles you go through, that's what's going to be in there. Here, it's like, no, life is happening, life is occurring, and things are going on even
like
though
you don't know what the patrol is. Like if you walk in there right now, might be 3 enemies, but if you
maybe
wait
they're
2
having a
minutes,
meeting. There's like 30 of them in there.
yeah,
you know?
and that's the thing is, it's not that I just make it up and go with like, what do I feel like right now? It's I know what's going on at any given second.
Yes.
But it's the details that, again, and this is where I constantly tell my players, the more you give me, the more the world gives back. If you just say, oh, I take the left route and we just go, well, then you're just going to walk right into it and nothing's going to happen. But if you're like, well, we go into it's going to be in this forest. Well, it's still daylight, so let's not use our torches and let's go slow because we want to make sure we can hear if anything's ahead. Like way different reaction that you're going to get from me. And I think that, again, that's what makes High Point unique and my DMing unique, is because I really do feel like when my players get into the game, it's because they know, not I have to watch what I say. It's they know that everything they do is going to get a response. They know that it's not just I roll stealth, yes or no, pass or fail. They know that trying stealth alone is going to change the reaction. Pass or fail, the simple fact that you tried stealth is now part of the detail. And I think that that's what sets me apart, is right. It's like you can say, oh, I try to stealth check past this guard. And if you fail, what happens 90% of the time? Oh, the guard catches you, roll initiative. But for me, my thing is like, if the guard catches you, like, what's his mindset? Like,
That's the first thing he's going to do.
yeah, it's like, is he going to laugh at you? Like, is he that guard? Like, what's his personality? It's like, he might laugh at you for being like, What are you doing? You're in the middle of a hall. Like, but are you actually like legit scaling a wall? And he's going to be like, get down from there. You know, like,
Sure.
what are you? Because again, I try to look at it from the point of view of what is someone going to react to? Like, if you're actively trying to hide in a shadow that's like super tiny and you're just trying to like shimmy across a wall, but then you roll bad, I'm just be like, so you try to shimmy across this very tiny shadow that you don't realize was barely big enough to hold your stomach, but not your giant feet. And you see the two shiny pieces of your steel-toed boots sticking out. It catches attention.
I can't see.
And then, but there's just like that to me. And again, most people are like, so it's just flavor. And it's like, no, it's not flavor. Because if you made that guard laugh, he's not going to be hostile. He's going to think you're pathetic. And that completely changes his mentality. It's going to change his mood. You might be able to walk away. You might be like, I'm stupid. Or one of you walks up and be like, oh, I'm sorry. He's a little special. We was a dare. And then maybe the guard's just like, get out of here before I. But if you're scaling something and honestly trying to do something bad,
Dude,
he's going to be aggressive.
I can't tell you how many just I've been pulled over, tickets I've gotten out of because of the demeanor that I interact with a person with. Like there's so many opportunities for stuff to go differently than you would expect.
And the reason why I'm confident enough in saying that this is unique to High Point is because it's both the way that my players react to it, the way that they feed off of it, because y'all start to learn that shit. And the difference is I feel like the way that I respond and you respond to what happens to you is either neutral or positive. And again, if you were trying to do something that was obviously silly and the guard laughed at you and said, get out of here before, and like he's irritated with you, but he lets you go.
Sure.
You wouldn't be surprised. You wouldn't feel like, oh my God, we didn't get into a fight for that. But if I would have said, oh, you lost, he immediately pulls a sword, you would have been like, really? Instant fight? Whereas again, if you're trying to like scale something like over barbed wire and he catches you, he's going to be a little bit more like, oh my God, you are trying to break in. I need to do my job. Like there's severity, right? Like, again, so most people don't realize like, I feel like that choice is very noticeable when you watch certain players and certain DMs, where if a player gets that, you feel like oh, wow. Okay. Like again, when you're playing a video game, like, wow, everyone knows where I am now, that one guy. But then there's times where the DM like begrudgingly lets you get away with something. And I've let you begrudgingly get away with something because I'm like, God damn, you outthought me. But there's other times when you're just like, oh, but I try to laugh it off. Can I do a charisma check and just laugh it off and let him like, oh, I'm drunk. And then the DM goes, whatever. And then you succeed. And then they're like you see that it's like, that's not what I planned. Like it was supposed to be like, you failed. You should have fought. And that's the problem though. In my opinion, that's the problem is when the DM's like, well, you failed. So you should have fought him. So you had planned to fight here. So why did you offer them to get out? And if you offered them to get out with a very high chance of failure and still expected like, it just, to me, it's like you offered them all of the opportunities that they took, and then you're mad at them for taking them.
Anytime I give you a choice, I'm comfortable with both outcomes.
Thank you.
Like that needs to be the case. And it's like a scenario where it's like, hey, if I want to fight here, then whether you succeed or fail at this role, there's going to be a fight here, but it might change what that fight like looks like, or like how easy and or difficult that fight is. Maybe if you succeed in this role, he's cocky and he thinks he can take it alone. But if you're not, he calls in all of his buddies, and now you got like a big group fight on your hands.
And that's the thing is, I think too many DMs decide pre-fight when they fight, build the fight. They decide what the end condition is. Like they decide you have to kill everybody. They decide if only one guy is down or alive, he'll run away. Or once this many people are dead, he'll start talking. Like, but for me, I like letting that be live. You know what I mean? Like if I might walk up to you with 5 guys who are like, no, they're going to fight to the death. And if you guys just do the whole, I attack, I hit him, I attack, I hit him. Oh, he hits me. Okay, I move here, I attack, I hit him. Then yeah, you're going to fight to the death because these guys mean to kill you. But if you do one of those, like I walk up to this guy, I grab him by the throat because you rolled a nat 20 and you're just like, fear me. And then you rip his throat out. Everyone's going to rethink their life in a split second. I don't care how much they're getting paid.
Yep.
You took the time to threaten someone before. Again, like because again, you have to think about like the mentality of like, you could have been hit in the middle of saying that and you still took the time to threaten him and then you killed him. Meaning the threat was useless because you could have just killed him. there's a psychological damage to that
Yep.
I think is important. But again, I don't think most DMs would play that way. I think most DMs would be like, they're still gonna fight. They're gonna. It's like, but why? Why wouldn't that affect? And maybe that would infuriate them. But I think too many DMs have decided pre-game, when they did the fight, these are the conditions that have to be met. Again, the choice of whether or not you can sneak past them or not, and whether or not if you fail, it's an immediate fight or not, is not chosen for me.
Sure.
I will choose. Now, granted, I will choose ahead of time. I'm like, okay, so it's going to be these guards and blah, blah, blah. I know this thing happened from that other campaign. So blah, blah, blah. Okay, so this guy's going to be pissed off. Sure. So he's going to be harder to persuade. That's about as far as I go.
Yeah.
But from that point, it's a condition. He's going to be harder to persuade because he's pissed off. But I'm also going to have some basic ideas of like, okay, he's having home problems, blah, blah, blah. If someone's like Venla and goes, how you doing, buddy? Do you need some tea? And you just happen to crack and he's just like, yeah, my mom used to make tea. Be like, oh yeah, what kind of tea does she make? Be like, she doesn't make any tea anymore. Your mom just died. Yeah, and then you could roll into like, let's get. But that's the thing, is that wouldn't have been planned for. It's dumb if that was planned for, because how hard would that have been to shoe in? Well, you see this guard, he looks tough, but he looks a little sad. He looks like he could cry.
Yeah.
But that's not as fun as Venla being Venla and it working. Because I don't want you to be Venla and go, oh, he looks sad, I'm going to do the Venla charm and Venla's going to get through. Because that's fine if that's the game you play.
Sure.
But Venla being Venla and Kage getting an unknown benefit of like, wait a minute, his mom died? He wants to talk. He's going to just, guys, go, sneak in. He's just talking to me. Like that surprise benefit of you just being your character is more rewarding than you going, oh, if he's sad and people love me, I'm just going to use my charisma and pull it out of him. That's fine, but that's not always as good as, oh my God, I didn't even know I could have gotten that guy to let us through. I just wanted to offer him tea because that's my character. And I'm like, exactly. But that's what happens in real life is you be yourself to enough people, someone's going to react differently, right? And that's what I try to do is if you're going to be that aggressive guy, it's not going to work on a lot of people. But when it works, it's going to feel good. Because it's going to feel good because you didn't necessarily need it to, right?
And if you're, again, when you think about just being / playing your character, right? If you're the aggressive guy and you're always walking around brooding and whatever else, like that makes complete sense. Like, okay, you do that thing. Like, yeah, you might get in a lot more bar fights than other people. Yeah, you're going to have a lot of these situations where it doesn't pan out well for you. But doing that and finding the time where it's like, hey, the stars aligned, and not only did I intimidate people like I normally do, but I punched this dude in the face and I knocked him unconscious, and everybody else, he's just dead flat on the ground, and everybody else is looking around like, that was the strongest guy in here. We don't want to, like, live your life, bro, you know. And so
it's like the difference of like, okay, let's say you're low level but you're walking into a town, and let's real quick let's do this so we can get let's finish up with the review, at least give it a score, and then we can talk about that one.
Fair.
But
had a couple things to say too in chat.
So I really do like the idea of this. It got better as it went. It definitely rescored some points later. It definitely is going to get the inspiration point.
Absolutely. We have not been able to stop talking about it.
It's far from usable in High Point. I will say that. But it's not bad. I wish it had either a lore that made it make more sense, or it wasn't just such a shotgunny, not trying to do everything, but just has its hand on, it just feels like it doesn't know what it's trying to do. So I'm gonna give it a 5.
Okay.
I think with the inspiration point, it's fine. Like I said, it's not overpowered. It's not crazy. It's not like a replication of anything. It's just I just don't know what it's trying to do.
Sure.
That's all it is. It's a confusion. It's part of the confusion. I just don't know what it's trying to do. And as is, it doesn't work with how High Point would work.
Sure.
But there's so much more that could be done with an idea like this.
Yeah, absolutely.
So go ahead and hit the any of those buttons on the pad right there, just in the front, and then hit the pair people. Yeah, the pair. About top. Yeah, that one. Boom. There we go.
There we go.
So I was saying, like, people go into the bar, right? So let's say you're a level 1 and you are charged with taking care of some wild animal in town, right?
Okay.
And you were told by them, like, the people at the bar know. Just go over to the bar, they'll tell you exactly where it is. So you can walk in and be like, oh, we're the adventurers to get the thing. We're gonna go attack it, blah blah blah. Fine, whatever, guys, go. You know, you're the interns. But you could be in there. You could just walk in. Where is it? Just go in there, kill it. We're done, and then leave. Like, we're collecting our bounty.
Mm-hmm.
If you did that, maybe again, it doesn't matter. You're level 1. If you walk in meek and sheepish and like, we're here to do the job, be like, oh, you must be the hired hand. But if you just walk in, it's like, where is it? Just next thing you know, it's dead, and you're walking out with its corpse. Like, we're collecting our bounty. If you come in for drinks later, they're just probably gonna be like, there you go. Have a nice night. Like, again, that to me is what I do as a DM. Is I'm not just gonna like, oh, you know, they're not gonna be intimidated by you. It's context. If you just walk in and start treating them like an asshole, then they're just gonna think you're an asshole customer, right? They've seen 1,000 of you.
Sure.
But if you walk in with confidence, do something,
Presence, yes,
and then just
absolutely.
leave, and then later you walk in, they don't know what to think, so they're just gonna be like, all right, adventure knows their business, just give them their drink. Like, they're not here to fuck around. And that's, again, they're not scared of you, but they just get it. Like, you're not someone to waste time with.
It's almost like perceived like respect. It's like I see the results of what you bring to the table. Now, I
Yes.
might not know all the context in between, but like our brains instinctually fill those things in, and so you're gonna see responses as a result.
And I think this is where a lot of players foul up with their role play sometimes. Is this is usually how DMs get away with it with NPCs. Like, some DMs just do it by every NPC's level 20, so don't try.
Sure.
But the way I get away with it is like, I've had you guys afraid of a farmer. Like, I've had you, not necessarily afraid, but
Sure.
I've had players question who they're talking to, and they're a nobody. They're literally a 1 HP, but it's that presence of mind. It's being able to make that person question whether or not whether or not you have intent, and whether or not it's up to them to question it, right? So it's like, if you come up and are just like an asshole, they can question if you have intent to be an asshole, and whether they want, like, again, you walk up to a bartender and be like, hey, asshole, give me a beer now. And you're just like, what's your intent here, dude? Did you order me around in my place? Okay, no, fuck off. But again, if you just come in, sit down, you know, they know what you did earlier, and you're just like a beer on the house. Like, you're not bugging me. You're not being an asshole. You took care of work, and you're a man who just wants to just have one on the house. But that is not, I'm afraid of you and I don't want to charge you.
Sure.
But it's like, you took care of business and you're just coming in here. And think about the mentality. You could have just come in, done business, and left, but you came back and now you're bringing me business. You went and got money. I guess, again, this is the things that I think about as a DM that I guarantee people don't. From that bartender's mindset, think about them. They're just sitting there. They have this problem. They've probably had, you know, some kids, maybe some local drunkards try to take care of it. No one does. He's given up. And, you know, he's put out this post and someone shows up to take care of it. And you do. And you go get the money that from the collection, but then you come back to spend that money here. Like, you just did me a job and then you want to give me that money. That means something to a business owner.
Yeah.
And whether that means that you're here to get more, but they don't know that, but how you approach them. If you just come in and be like, hey, so I did that job for you earlier. Now it's all right, you want to extort me. Like, again, to me, that's the kind of stuff that matters. Like, to me as a DM, that's what I'm taking in when you're dealing with most named NPCs and some small NPCs. It's everything on how you treat them. I look at when again, I don't plan everything linearly, but the idea is that if they're there for a reason, and I have that.
Yeah.
And then I just try to do a brief backlog of how are they feeling, what's their mindset, where are they at in life, and that from there takes on everything about your characters, how you approach, what is your reaction, because in second edition that matters, like how people react to you just in general, and then you interact with them are all going to lead to your interaction with them. I don't pre-plan these things. I don't say this person's going to be an asshole to you. I might say this person is an asshole and does not respond well to XYZ.
Sure.
You don't know that. You don't have that working knowledge, but I do. Which is why sometimes you guys can be in a group and all of you are just having no headway when one person can speak up and suddenly open that bridge.
Dude, I can see a scenario where like the nice, gentle, meek person gets blown off and the person who's really abrupt and assertive is the one who actually gets addressed, right? He's be like, I don't play around with this, like, you know, this meek, this like girly, this like little like scared stuff. Like, I want someone who's going to come in here, who's going to say what they want, and who's going to like be about business.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And so like there is a time and a place for everything. And just because how you are is the same across the board doesn't mean that there won't be at a time and a place for what you're looking for, or that every time is the time and the place for what you're looking for.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So like there's definite, and I think this hopefully, and I love this because we talked about it the other day, like bringing like D&D to like families and stuff like that. But like I think these things like expand, like people need to recognize that in IRL, you know what I mean? Like there's not like sometimes someone's not going to respond well to you and your like a brutal honesty. Like I get it, like that's who you are, and be that way if you want to be. But be prepared to accept the consequences
and dealing with the unknown, because like in D&D, one of the things I like to deal with is like it's just be comfortable with the unknown. You know, it's a common trope that I like to do in some of my shorts, where you know I say if you really want to find out if you have a metagamer in your in your group, just shoe in
on something.
No, just shoe in an explosion, combat or not, and just don't give it an obvious source, and just see how long it will take them to derail the game before they have to know. Like if you're in the middle of combat and then something over there explodes, but there's no mage here and there was no barrels, just see how it, you know, if you have someone who basically derails the game until they have to figure out what happened, you have a metagamer. It's as simple as that.
Like without going in game to go investigate.
Yes, without actually using the game to investigate.
I'll in game go investigate.
But be mad that like,
oh,
well, what was
tell me
it?
that? Like no, like why?
But when it exploded, why is it on fire? What could have done that? But who did that? But there's not another enemy, and it's like that's the problem. Is if they, it's one thing to want the knowledge. It's another to be mad that you can't have it right now.
I have an interesting scenario for you, because this is something that I struggled with the other day. Now, imagine this scenario. You are you're underground, you're in a place, and there are these cultists that you're fighting, right? And their
usual Friday night. So
usual Friday night. Their leader starts running away, right? You get banished. They get banished.
The leader
gets banished.
Okay.
But they're from this plane, so they're gonna come back in a minute.
Okay.
Right?
Are you still fighting the rest of them?
You fight the rest of them, you kill the rest of them. You got 4 rounds before the leader comes back.
Okay. He was running away.
He was running away. We stage everything. We set everything up. We're like, all right, we got you surrounded. All this stuff.
So he pops back, and now
he pops back, and now we're it's our turn to just wail on him.
Yeah.
Right? They teleport out. They dimension door out. But where we're at, we set up some contingencies. We set up an alarm spell for where we came in, and we set up a what do you call it? A familiar to be able to like look through their eyes at the entrance.
Yep.
Right?
Cool.
And so we're like, okay, alarm never went off, and the alarm never went off, and the familiar saw nothing. And we know like how the spell works, right? And like all this stuff. So we're like, it's really hard for me to believe that they got out of here without
he's still here.
Triggering one of those things.
The idea is that the idea is that you have enough knowledge to believe that they're still here.
That would be theoretically true, but we're being told that that's not the case. And so like when there's an investigation as to, it's like, hey, all right, I know I didn't see anything. I know none of this stuff happened. Like what's going on? And there's an element of inquiring to the DM, like, hey, does my character have enough insight to be able to understand X, Y, and Z? If me as a player am thinking this could happen, like there's no way they should have been able to get out of here without me seeing.
Yeah.
Like, is there some way like my character can roll some insight to like based upon what I've seen, based upon what I know of these people?
I mean, the first question is does anybody know that spell? Like, but you know, again, my first question would be like, as the spellcaster or as someone helping out the spellcaster, be like, does anybody recognize what spell just happened?
Sure.
Because that's it. That's the first and foremost, is if your DM allows you to recognize spells. Because there is some,
and they did tell us it was Dimension Door.
Yes, and that's a big difference. Well, some DMs do. See, this is where 5th edition and even like it started happening really in 3rd, I think. But this is where, actually, honestly, it happened in 2nd too. But this is just where the meta game starts to get weird, because in reality, how much do you know about magic truthfully to identify it, right? Even its effects. Like,
Sure.
not every spell is very obvious, even in what it does.
Sure.
Unless you've seen it before, right? Like, magic is still just magic. But typically, we do this thing of metagame where so everybody understands that, A, we all know the effects, so we can mathematically do this. I think that bleeds into this idea that we also all in game recognize magic happens and some spells are iconic, and therefore, it's not just, everyone knows Call of Lightning, not just, oh my God, a wizard literally just zapped that person with lightning. But again, that's where it conflates. It should be, holy shit, that guy just got hit by lightning. What does that mean? This thing is either a wizard or a cleric. Like, because again, you shouldn't know the difference. Normally, unless you know about magic, you shouldn't know the difference between a cleric and a wizard if they hit you with Call of Lightning, because they both look divine, right?
Sure.
Again, so the thing about that is when you think about spells, I think that most people assume that when they name the spell, they're not naming it in game, they're naming it out of game.
Yes.
So Dimension
like
Door
classes and stuff
to
like
tell
that.
the players it was Dimension Door out of habit. I don't think most DMs say it's Dimension Door as in a wink wink, here's the rules to it so you can deduce. Hence why my first question is, in game, I would ask, does anybody know that spell? Like, or I would ask, does anybody know what he just cast?
In game,
and if
the answer is yes. I made the check.
And that's where I would say, if the DM allows in-game recognition of spells, then immediately you should be able to reach that logic. Like, oh, we do know it's Dimension Door. I know that spell. The cave entrance is 200 feet away. He ain't getting out.
Sure.
Because it's only 120 feet or, whatever. But he ain't getting out. Now, granted, if it's you don't know what exact spell he did, but I do know magic, do I know how far teleportation spells can go?
Sure.
Is it likely that he would have gotten out of the cave? Like, that's fine. I don't mind probing questions, and that's where, okay, give me a wisdom check.
And so that's where I'm at, because like there's a certain element of, hey, I want to know, but there's another element of, hey, I'm trying to understand. I'm trying to, because we talked about this a while ago about like the immersion of being in the game. Like when certain things like break your immersion, when stuff just doesn't make sense, it's like, okay, I need to be able to wrap my head around like what actually just happened in this space, in this room, in this setting, in this place. And if I can't do that, like I'm struggling to understand like how would I even react in a situation.
And that's my thing, is like, if you knew the spell, then I would let you get to that conclusion. If you didn't, no one knew the spell, like if there's no spellcasters, but you knew enough about magic, I'd let you make a roll, right? Sure. And the less you knew, the harder the roll would be, but it might just be an Arcana check. It might just be a Wisdom check. Like, again, if you know magic and you just don't know that exact spell, Wisdom check.
Sure.
If you know of magic, Arcana check. Sure. With maybe a high check or whatever your, addition equivalent is. But the idea would be you would have to make a check to see if you could deduce its relative power. And I do mean that because, again, players may know what the distance is, but in game, I would hope that you would respect that you do hey, we don't know what the spell is, we don't know what it's capable of. Yep, my character's just gonna assume he's out. Fuck.
Sure.
That sucks, guys. We lost him. Like, I'm going to play that. I'm gonna be
Absolutely.
like, no one knows what happened.
I mean, even if I know what Dimension Door does, if it was Dom in that situation,
but that's my point, and that's what people always have.
Magic stuff.
And this is what I mean by people are confused about, well, what's real metagaming? That's metagaming. Knowing that your characters need to react when they in no way. Now, granted, if you want to play how do we know better? We would react because we don't know better. That's fine. It's a stretch sometimes, but again, it's a stretch how you got there. If you went every other route and this was your final, well, we're going to go anyway because we would have, then I'm going to call bullshit, because then why did you try to think of it in every other way? And when you couldn't, now you're like,
now this is what my character would do.
Now screw it, we're going to do it anyway. If you would have said, it doesn't matter, like if there's a player that says, do we know what that spell is? And person over here says, I don't fucking care. He teleported and I didn't hear the alarm. I'm running to the front entrance because I don't think he's out. That's fine. But it's that whole, if we go through every option to logically say we would know, and then we still act on our meta knowledge, that's metagaming.
And this is where I do my best to work with the DM, because it's like, okay, player understands what potentially went down, but I need to walk through with the DM would my character have
Yeah.
the same understanding?
And like with
that's
Dobbs is a perfect example. If this happened to Dobb, this exact situation, you know, it'd be like boom, and he teleports, and he'd be like, he's just gone, and be like, as far as you know, he's gone. Like, what about the alarm? And it's like, I mean, you don't know. It's possible that he made it out. Maybe he got out. Maybe he teleported back home. Maybe he's still here somewhere. That's as far as I would leave it, because you don't know.
Sure.
And then it's up to you, player and character. Again, you metagame know the answer. I know you know the answer metagame, but in game, I'm going to just be like, Dov doesn't know. He has nothing to go on. The dude just disappeared.
Yep.
Do you want to search the cave? Does he have reason? And I trust you. I trust my players. Do you have reason to search the cave? Or would Dov look at that and go, fuck, he's gone? And that's it. I try to leave it up to honor system, but I do preface it with, this is what your character knows. What would your character do with that knowledge? What is their motivation? Are they the type to just assume that they gave up? Or are they the type to be like, nah, he ain't left yet, right? And again, it also depends on the DM. Was the DM smart enough to plan for this? Is there a secret room inside the cave that he teleported to so you can't find him? Because some people might think that. You know, I mean, hell, I would have players who, you know, you might have a player who's like, whoa. He teleported. Why would he teleport outside of a cave and he doesn't know if we have reinforcements? I'll bet there's a secret room. Because he did that quick.
Mm-hmm.
He did that really quick.
And he was just like, I'm not even going to fight these people. I didn't cast anything left at him. I'm just gone.
So, again, and I'd let my players be like,
they were already running, so like, sure, but
yeah,
still.
but where were they running to? Let's
And
go in
before
that direction.
Before they ran, they were welcome to cast a bunch of spells, but now after we hit them a bunch of times and they're hurt and they're bloody, and
now
all this
they,
other
yeah,
stuff,
now
it's
they
just
panic and they're just trying to get, yeah. So that's my thing is like,
Yeah.
I don't mind you getting there, but if you say, oh, dimension door, dude, dimension door is only 120 yards and it's 300 yards to the exit. He's still in the cave. Be like, that's where it's like, and your character knows that. Be like, well, no, I mean, I know that. Like, that's how the spell works. But with your character, and that's where the conversation gets awkward.
Yeah.
DMs don't want to do that, where they want to retcon what you just said as a player, because it's like, yeah, you said fine, but why would your character know that? And then that's where the player's like, but I know that, and it's like, okay, fine, fuck it. But what does knowledge matter? You know what I mean? Like, you know, then I can't tell you guys anything about the realm because then you know it. Sure. Like, it's.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. I think there's I get player agency, but like there's an element of we're here and you're agreeing to be this character. And you're agreeing to act as this character would. You're agreeing to represent this character honestly in what they would know and how they act and all of the above. So
yeah,
I think that there's something to be said about, you have agency, but you also have accountability. You have accountability to set this stuff up, to you have the accountability to act and enact your character the way that, like, honestly as you possibly can. And I think that there is enough consistency where when a player, because like me, I want to ask you, if I'm dealing with a bunch of goblins and they're doing some like crazy intelligent tactics, like I'm going to have some questions. Unless there's some lore behind how these particular goblins are this freaking smart.
Yeah.
Traditionally, we smash.
And that's
we shoot,
and there's the difference between, you don't know why, but you're absolutely right. Your character knows this is awkward.
Then
there's that, you know,
investigate.
But it's the thing of, if the player's like, no, but like this doesn't make any sense. These shouldn't be happening. Like, you're right, they shouldn't. Like, so why are they? That's a good question. No, but why are they? It's like, yeah, you gotta go find out. But no, but it doesn't make sense why they are. So what? That's metagaming.
Yeah.
Like, that's the difference. It's not about, oh, I happen to know trolls are like, oh, we're gonna go into troll country tomorrow, or it's like saying like you're a wizard and you're gonna go into a cave with a troll and you have to prepare your spell and you have a choice between call lightning or fireball. It's not metagaming to say fireball because you have time to like research. Like, there's ways that you could justify making that choice, but there's a difference between knowledge that you just absolutely couldn't and shouldn't have and events that you couldn't and shouldn't have, right? Like,
sure,
there's a fine line. There is a fine line. Like, again, if you're playing people and your whole campaign is that you're people who have never dealt with undead and suddenly you're thrust into a graveyard with a bunch of the unliving,
fire damage,
you don't get to be like, oh, I know all the D&D lore. Like, you don't get to play that. It's not the same as, well, why can a wizard know about a troll? It's like, again, you have to draw a line somewhere.
Sure.
And there's time and place, right? There's a time and place to understand that.
Sure.
But let's end it. We're at the 3 hour marks and at 9 o'clock. So let's end it with this DM question.
Love it. Love it. Love it. All right. So Cart asks, so there are a lot of, what does that say? Iterations of what smiting, is that smithing or smiting?
Smite. I think it's smiting.
Smiting.
I think we're talking about paladin smite.
Is in D&D. When someone does a smite attack, it does holy damage or radiant. But the biblical term,
in biblical
terms, a smiting is lightning. So my question is, with the different deities one may worship and use smite depending on their,
it's supposed to be deity.
Oh, DVDs. That's hilarious. On their deity's personality and or existence should be different types, different damage types.
Yes. So in this is something that I've thought about a lot as well. And yes, certain DDs in High Point do adjust the smite damage based on who they are. Not all of them.
Sure.
Usually it is radiant because radiant is representative of divine.
More generic for divinity.
And again, it just depends on their power level. But some deities are specific enough that they want theirs represented, and
Sure.
so they will power up their clerics with extra power for that exact purpose, because they are a conduit, they are a representation. And some deities, if you have the deity of lightning, why would he let you do radiant damage? Why isn't he gonna bust out with like he wants you to be representative of him in full, right?
Now,
so there are times, like again, a deity of shadow, I would do necrotic damage for their smite, or a deity of evil, or a deity of necromancy,
something like that.
Yes, there's absolutely times when it can be called. It's just not every deity has their own magic type. There is the base, that's the standard, because again, you're just calling upon your deity to empower you. That's all radiant damage is divine empowerment. It's only if the deity wants to make a point or wants to show representation through you, which is also why I like doing it with crits. Usually you get your divine smite, but if you crit, your god will send a little bit extra through.
So I'm kind of torn because like I definitely agree with what you're saying, but I almost feel like there will be times where it's like you have the all clerics just get, or all paladins just get smite, all whatever, you get the generic smite, right? Yeah. And then like you're talking about like crits or something special, or you want to use your channel divinity or something like that, then you can get these special abilities. I do think so. There are some very specific spells, smite spells, like branding smite and other different types of smite. And so I think it would be cool, specifically if there were deities like that, you had a specific smite, you had a lightning smite, or a fire smite, or whatever, something that would make sense for your deity.
Even if it was just like a level at a certain level, your deity unlocked that for you.
Sure. But and the only reason I'm thinking is because, like, imagine your deity was they were like war or whatever. Their thing was fire instead of lightning or radiant or whatever. And you're trying to go up against this dragon. Now I'm just like, this god can't do anything to this dragon. This god just like I feel like it wouldn't necessarily like hinder the god's ability to do it. So like maybe they could make it either. I'd be interested to see if it like overcomes resistance, or just say
and that's where, like at High Point, there's actually a built-in mechanic for that. So to get around that really what it comes down to is like, what is the god about? That comes into their ethos and what their belief system is. So for instance, if you are following, say, one of the gods of like lightning, right?
Sure.
One of the variations. Or even just the god of lightning itself, right? God of lightning, god of storms, like there's, variations that control the same element. But, let's just say god of lightning itself. If you were to say, look through their whole ethos, they have a very special relationship and a representation for blue dragons because they have the affinity of lightning.
Sure.
So it's in their ethos that typically blue dragons are considered like one of their sacred animals.
Sure.
Not necessarily a holy animal, it's not their symbol.
Sure.
But it is just one of the many sacred aspects, like, you know, especially because in old D&D, most of the religions, it was all creationism, which is why there were so many like alignment and class locks to races and certain things, because it was all creation mythos. So like, you know, the reason why certain races and certain classes were locked out of each other, like certain things couldn't be other things, or certain things required certain alignments, is because, at least in Forgotten Realms in the older editions, everything was created by the gods, right? So there were hard set rules. Like, I created this, so here's my rules. Only my people can touch it.
Oh,
so that's why there used to be such hard and fast rules. I've, you know, a lot of DMs kind of spread that out now. So, you know, there's a lot more openness. But that's where these like mythos come from, right? So a god of something, certain creatures are considered you know, blessed or holy or representative because, hey, they represent what I am, right? The god of lightning loves all blue dragons because all blue dragons cast lightning. Or, you know, so it's like for them, so it's more of a, if you're going to go against a lightning creature, unless that creature has like done something against the religion or specifically against you, who is a representative of God, if you're just going to go out dragon hunting, no, your god's not going to give you over, it's not going to let you get over resistance. That's your own fucking fault. Don't use my power against one of my creatures and act like I'm going to let you slaughter one of my beautiful creatures.
Would you say, and I know this is kind of different, but say your god needed something in that dragon's horde, would he protect you from that dragon's lightning?
Maybe,
perhaps
that's again,
go get it.
Like I said, like if you're just going to go dragon hunting, your god's going to be like, that's one of my blessed creatures who shoots lightning, and
they
you want
represent
me?
They put my,
and you want me to weaken it for you? I'm sorry, it's more no.
Sure.
But now, granted, if this thing is rogue and it's like maybe this thing attacked one of the churches, and you're like, my lord, allow me to let me to reprimand this creature of yours. It has no resistance to you. Go fuck it up. Totally different stories, and that's where it's like, yes, it could, but I would not give it a guarantee.
Sure.
You know, if there's a god of undead, it is not going to let you have a benefit against undead unless you have a very good reason of telling him to not do his job. Because, you know what I mean? That's really what you're doing, is you're going into his lair and being like, hey, could you not do the thing that you're meant to, that you're designed to do? But again, that's how situational is that, right? If you're but you would know that, right? Like you would know before, like if you're a god, if you're following that god and you're going to go do something, it's my job as the DM to be like, by the way, you would also know that this plan that they're talking about to go after this this blue dragon is against your ethos. Like your god does look at blue dragons as blessed, and they look at them as divine, or, you know, as protected. So if you want to go against it, you don't necessarily need approval. Like it's not like it's against the religion to do it, but don't expect him to help you unless you have a really good reason. And that would be my job to preface that.
You guys a necrotic smite ability, or if you kill the creature with the smiling blow, they will turn undead on your side as like a CR 2 or 3 creature.
So like, yeah, if you had like a necrotic,
I definitely thought it said smiling for a second.
It said smiling.
Okay.
But yeah. So I think like, yeah, that could be if you had like a necrotic deity and you were like a necrotic paladin. I could see that.
Yeah. If you were to kill, I feel like it would be interesting because like if you're just smiting like a CR 1/4 zombie, like it's not gonna be that crazy. But if you take out like a decently like powerful creature and you do it with your particular god's like holy smite, like having it like react with some sort of like 1 round turn undead or something like that, like that would be kind of crazy. That would be really cool, especially if you like crit or something on it, or did max damage or whatever. Dude, that'd be wild. That would be wild.
Honestly,
I like these ideas.
Honestly, that would be a cool feature to add to, what is the paladin that has the rage beyond death?
Oh, the barbarian.
Yeah. Like
because that is the zealot barbarian. It's theoretically a deity.
So I almost want to do like a subletting subclass where instead of rage beyond death, if you reduce an enemy to 0 if you reduce a creature of CR 1/4 or less to 0, they are brought back as an undead creature under your control for a number of rounds equal to like your something modifier.
If it's a barbarian,
No, this is a paladin. I'm just saying like the subletting subclass though. Like taking the zealot into a paladin and saying like when a paladin takes down a creature of a certain CR, like 1/4 their level or something or less,
Hey.
it is brought back as an undead version of itself for
But
X
it's not
number
like a
of
zombie.
rounds.
It is still whatever it was.
It was whatever it was, but it
It's
also
just-
counts as undead.
Yeah.
For and like your intelligence, wisdom, whatever modifier rounds. Because
Yeah.
then it's not forever. But
Sure.
it's just like in combat, you take it down and then it pops back up. It has a couple rounds to move and attack for you. You know, like it only gets like one attack per round. It gets like
Sure.
maybe you say like it gets half its movement and it gets one of its attacks per round.
Sure.
You know, and that's it. That's all it does. Is it can just go and do one attack. But
I like this.
that could be
I
interesting.
like this a lot. I really do.
All right. Well, that brings us past the 3 o'clock hour and past 9 o'clock, and it has been a day. So
Amen.
I think that's a
Yeah.
good place to call it.
That sounds good to me.
That was not a bad review. That was a long ass review for just an item.
Yeah, I'm telling you, we were talking about like potentially doing other items. We're like, nah, bro, we got this. Like,
Yeah, I thought it was going to be a slow day too.
Um,
But no, that was great. Thank you, Cart, for
Absolutely.
sending that over to us. That was fantastic. And thank you, Soul, for giving me a break today. I needed it.
never coming back here again. I'm just kidding.
This doesn't happen when you're remote.
So cool.
But yeah, no, that was fantastic. We will be back on Friday. We don't have a plan for what we're going to do yet. We might do some OSR. Could do
Yep.
some OSR if we get the right crowd again.
If you get some people in
Yeah,
here,
honestly,
maybe we'll
at
start with
this
some games, and then we can
maybe
if,
we'll
if people
do that.
show up, then we can
Yeah.
throw down some OSLR because I mean, it's
'Cause
still
I-
theoretically
we
games.
really need to test a 3v3 and we need to test an entire round. Like
Yeah.
we need to actually like for real try to test an honest
I mean, at least
combat
we got
round.
to the winner circle last time.
We did test the win conditions. We at least got that done. So
Yeah.
we need to test a full 3v3. If we can get enough people in stream, we'll do OSR. If not, we'll probably just game about. We haven't done some games in a while.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
You know, how about this? We'll do
There's a new
OSR.
mode in it's not the zombies mode, but there's like a new Ultron mode where you're like fighting much. It's different. There's only like 2 difficulties, like hard and whatever else. But,
Okay, so
Um,
we could do that. So how about this? We will try to do OSR if we have enough people for a 3v3. If we don't, we can do games with chat because
Sure.
that's that we haven't done that in a minute.
Absolutely.
And I do have some new games I want to talk to you about this week that we might be able to add to the list.
Oh, very cool. Very cool.
So yeah, so either OSR, so gaming with us with OSR, or gaming video games with us this Friday.
Slay.
And then we will let you guys know about the lightsaber giveaway once
Yes.
I go shopping. This is not the one you're going to get. This is mine.
Yes,
but
right.
once I go shopping for the parts for the one that y'all are going to get, then yeah, we will go ahead. I will get that built, figured out, and then we'll plan the giveaway stream. It's no longer going to be a birthday stream. It's just going to be a giveaway stream.
It's got some time. Whatever. It's fine.
But considering this thing cost me like $120 to build, well, probably only like after the returns and everything I did, not including the Dremel tool, yeah, it probably cost me about, I don't know, maybe like between 80 and $100 in parts.
Still, that's not that bad.
I also bought a
For-
lot of extra parts that I didn't
For
need.
something that is that like solid, hefty, like
and
it
has
is-
an actual like
yes.
proper mechanic that it actually works.
Yes.
Like I gotta say that this I just can't believe I got to pull off. Like I literally
I
everything
still
else
think-
visually I thought was fine. I can't believe this fucking works.
I still think there's going to be something that you come across where you're able to get it to like stop
And
at
then
the
lock,
end
yeah.
and, like lock in or whatever the case may be.
Someday maybe I'll rebuild it with actual parts. See, maybe we'll get big enough on YouTube that that could be a whole channel thing. But yeah, so that one will come up. We'll do the giveaway stream here soon where y'all will get the chance to win a handmade lightsaber blade. I think that's it. I think that's the big upcoming is just the giveaway. I don't think we're doing. Oh, Cart. We need to get with you too about your one-on-one because of the subathon.
Yes,
So,
Cart.
I had some questions for you. I just haven't posted them in Discord because I just kept flip-flopping on whether I was going to do it in Discord and here. But basically, we just need to figure out. Basically, you just need to figure out a few things. One, do you want it to be private or do you want it to be on stream? Because that'll be the biggest thing. Is if we do it on stream, then we'll just plan a day and then we can get it on the calendar. If you want to do it privately through Discord, that's totally fine. We just, that'll be a lot easier to set up. And then, yeah, we just need to kind of figure out what you want to do. If we want to do it on stream, we can do like a couple hour stream where you just kind of decide what we do and we just, roll with whatever you say. We could just do games with just, you rolling with us the whole time. or we can do like an AMA where you just get to ask us questions and we just rant to whatever you want. Or again, we can do a private session in Discord and you can get the official idea that I had, which is just like a one-on-one with me and or Kage, and you just get to work with us on D&D stuff. You can chat with us, you can learn about High Point, Cineverse, you can just do like live review stuff, like you can talk to us, we can help you build something, basically whatever it is. Like the you know, I want to give the option if we can do something that's a stream, and so it's more like full community. It can be private, I don't really care. But yeah,
if we could make a sub only stream that was something like that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We can make it sub only. It's totally easy. I mean, anybody can watch, but only subs would be able to chat. We can even do a sub only thing in Discord, so anybody in Discord only can join. So just let us know how you feel. I know that, you know, some people aren't great about getting on like mic and everything on stream
in public settings and stuff.
You know, it took us 3.5 years to get comfortable. So yeah, just let us know, private or stream, and then it's kind of just going to be run by you, whatever the topic you want. I mean, you donated enough to where we'll give you, you know, I mean, if you want to stream, we can easily do a 4 or 5 hour stream for you.
Heck yeah.
If you want to just do a private session, we can probably both dedicate 2-3 hours.
Absolutely.
Because at least if we're both, especially if we're both going to be there, you know how we rant. Like, you're going to want time.
It's a problem. And Soul, you were supposed to be helping us out by getting your third, so we know what's going on with that showdown. So you let us know. Is it Cart? Is Cart the third? Because it was Soul and Hecate and then one other.
I don't know. I forgot who the third person in this showdown is supposed to be.
Yeah, it's either Cart or.
I told y'all last time when you asked for the update.
Exactly
when we get all three, I will then be in the review process to build it. But until I get all three, the showdown is on pause because we need to be able to review them.
Yeah, you did, Cart.
What happened?
He was like, I may have given a few people the chance to be in on the sub only stream, and I'm like,
I think they're all over though. They only lasted for a month, so I think we're out of max streams. But yeah. So just Cart, hit me up in Discord.
It was Cart.
All right,
the chain dude. Yes. See. Now you got your next project. Cart.
All right. Yeah. But yeah, so Cart, just ping me in Discord. Let me know. Make your choice, private or stream. If it's a stream, it'll probably be like a 4 or 5 hour stream. You dedicate the topic, whatever you want. And if it's private,
so
again, whatever you want.
Can we? I feel like. What if Cart wants us to help him with their chain build? Like, we can't help him with that, right? Especially, I mean. We're not really reviewing it. It's not really giving it a score.
I mean, if Cart wants to use that, I mean, I don't see why. I mean, it would be a little bit cheating, but I mean, they would only be able to bias.
To what end? Like,
but remember, if it's gonna be like each of our vote and the thing's vote, like that, you know,
it's exactly. It's like okay. That's what I think. That's cheating. Yeah. That's kind of how I feel. But still,
okay. Cart says it's cheating if we help.
Right.
All right, Cart. But yeah, so I just wanted to get with you on that. Please hit me up in Discord if you want to do, you know, how you want to do that, and give me just a time frame range. And then I'll get with Kage on what's the best option. And again, it can be anything. I mean, it can also just be if you just want to game with us, but off stream. Like, we'll hop on and just do some video games with you.
We vibe.
Like I said, it's kind of like your free time to just hang out with us casually. You earned it. You definitely earned it. You helped pay for most of the OSR beta testing.
We appreciate you, man.
So
most definitely.
Yeah. Just let us know, and we'll get that set up. Giveaways coming up. OSR this weekend or this Friday. If we don't do, if not, then we'll do video games with everybody. Make sure you're on the whitelist. Go to the Discord. Can you hit the Discord logo on the thing?
That button?
Yeah, and then there's the one that looks like a code slash. Hit that one too.
That one?
Perfect. But yeah, make sure you guys are in the Discord. Make sure that you check out the whitelist page. You can do ! Whitelist in chat as well to get some more details. But that is if you want to play games with us, get us over your approval of the rules as well as your usernames. There's only a handful of games on there, but we are trying to expand the list. So if you have any suggestions, also post those in Discord.
Absolutely.
Cool. Cart's gonna look at the schedule. Yeah, definitely just let us know whatever works. Weekend, weekdays in the afternoon, so about the same time as stream during the week. Weekday or weekends are a little bit more open.
Absolutely.
And yeah, so just let us know. We'll be down with that. Otherwise, I think that's gonna be good. So you want to roll out, since you're there, you can roll out the outro.
Oh gosh. Absolutely. I'm so good at these.
Hey man, it only took me 3 years to figure it out.
Well, I got 3 minutes. Well, we had a fabulous stream. I really appreciate your submission, Carp. This Altar of the Hollowed Saint, it is phenomenal. I love all the inspiration that we got from it. Super excited that we got to review it. I think that I'm really excited to see what we have coming up next week. I'll have to look into that. I think it might be some spells from Dez, but it also could be something else. I have to check to see who's actually supposed to be
I think you
next.
have it up here.
It should be one of those tabs.
The next one, it's not that tab. It's not that tab. I don't know what that
is. It have the green at the top. The green for
But this one is the. Oh wait, no, I gotta go to a different in tab. Oh, there they are. Okay, it didn't load. So we just did the Altar of the Hollowed Saint. Next week is a 3rd level spell, a new 3rd level spell from Dez. There's no name. Just says new 3rd level spell.
Really?
That's all it says. New 3rd level spell.
Does it have a link on it already?
Yeah, and the link says new 3rd level spell. Oh no! New 3rd level spells. There is a plural.
So
it's
it's a group
spells.
of 3rd level. Okay, got you. I thought they were themed. Maybe they're just 3rd level.
Waves of Gore is the first one.
Waves of Gore. Oh,
That's all I can read in this tiny little text is
Oh.
Waves of Gore.
that sounds interesting.
So join us next Monday for Waves of Gore.
Waves of Gore sounds fabulous. But I'm super stoked that you guys are all here, that you guys came to hang out with us. We look forward to seeing you guys on Friday for some games. And I hope you guys have a fabulous week ahead of you. And yeah, we will see you guys on Friday.
Cheers.
Deuces, my friends.